Brian Kelly will be the head coach of the LSU Tigers in 2026. Yes or no, Blake Ruffino?
What says you?
I will say this. I am always a big believer in factoring in cost with every single evaluation, whether it's a coach or a player. How much do you cost? And obviously, this would be a very expensive move if LSU wanted to make that move, because things obviously could get very disastrous here in the next month or so. You love this program as much as me, if not more. It would be tough because we've invested hours upon hours defending Brian Kelly while at the same time being critical of him, oftentimes to the chagrin of people that work at LSU football or people that are just super fans of BK. So I do think you start bringing up the conversation because this is a copycat league, and Scott Woodward's old team fired Jimbo Fisher, who is a big name head coach, who is a college football Hall of Fame level guy, and then they go get a hungry Mike Elko, and you would say right now Texas A&M is probably the best team in the SEC, right?
No, I'd say it was Bama, but I don't think they're far off.
Right. I'm with you. I would say it's Bama as well, but you know, one guy could flip this thing around pretty quickly. So, yeah, I would definitely. Lane Kiffin was my number 2 guy when the job was initially open. But for you, Blake, how would you feel about that? Or is that conversation even starting to happen in your inner monologue?
What's an inner monologue?
Like just what you say to yourself. Because every
it's already been said. But see, I think multiple things can be true at once. Number one, I think that there's a narrative that the culture's bad. This is the debate that I got into with former players who are just going out there saying shit. Okay. There's a difference in culture being bad and coaching being bad. Okay. Ask Billy Napier if his culture was bad when they were fighting for him against every opponent that they played. That's not bad culture. That's bad coaching. He didn't give up play calling. So, for what it's worth, I don't think that you have a team that goes out there on Saturday and just falls. Like, I don't think that they were fighting with less effort Saturday.
No, I'm with you. Well, I outside of one player whose effort we could talk about here in a second, but overall,
are you talking about Perkins?
Yes.
I know the play that you're probably talking about. You're talking about the play at the goal line.
Yeah, and there's a few others.
Well, if you go back, the whistle's blown. So when he initially crosses, the whistle's blown. Regardless of all of that, I mean, he's got to.
We'll get to that in a second, but we'll stay on BK for right now.
I think that there are multiple things that could be true. He can't get over the hump right now. And you got to ask yourself the question, are people going to give money for NIL? Yeah. So you're going to fire the entire offensive staff. I was hoping Cortez Hankton would be fired today because it's the reason I went into the press conference a couple of weeks ago with his rotation issues. That clearly has not happened. So I think you're going to clear staff offensively regardless. So let's just start there. Then you ask if Brian Kelly returns, who's going to give money for NIL? Because you got to go probably get a quarterback. You got to go get offensive linemen. You probably got to go get a running back. You probably got to go get receivers. Okay. So who's gonna give money for a Brian Kelly program?
Yeah, I don't know.
You start asking the question. Let's just say that you got to spend $18 to $20 million to go replenish a roster that you don't have. Well, what could you have done with that $20 million in a year? So do you take 15 of that and say, well, that's what we would pay BK in 2.5 years if you fired him today? So I know you talk about the costs, but what if it continues? What if you lose to A&M? What if you get blown out by Bama? What if you lose to Oklahoma? And
Or to Arkansas. I mean,
or Arkansas,
yeah.
who just lost by 3 at home to A&M. I don't think he could survive it.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think inside the building, people want change. You can't go out there and lie to get change, right? Like Ed had a woman, not his wife's children, on a practice field. That's a culture problem.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think you have a culture problem. I think you have a coaching problem. And I know you're about to hate my statement, but you stay with Joe Sloan when you shouldn't have, and you stay with Garrett when you probably shouldn't have. Now, yesterday's not on him because I thought he played really gutsy, but you did. And so it's time for everybody to have that conversation that, listen, your defense was going to give up one of these games. One of these games, it was going to happen to them. And so now you just ask the question, take the finances out of it, because Scott Woodward if he doesn't fire him, Scott might be fired. I mean, it's technically the whole Joe Oliva thing, which Joe Oliva, hired Ed that ultimately won you a championship. So was he technically wrong? And then let me ask this question. Was Joe Oliva wrong when he got his legs cut up out of him when Jindal said he couldn't do it?
Yeah.
And so let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Does your sitting governor allow Scott Woodward to fire him? So, I mean, again, there's a lot of questions that go into this, but you went out and spent $100 million to get the man. Well, you got to eat that cost. You might have to eat that cost.
Dane says Scott Woodward should be fired. I don't agree with that. I can't get there. I do factor in what has happened in other sports. I think that counts for something. I know it's not the moneymaker, and that I'm not just saying that on the surface. I will also say I'm not a high enough muckety muck to know if an AD is going to get fired, because that's more important than yes, and that's more important than a coach being fired. But based on one source that knows Scott, they have assured to me last week. Now, this was before the Vanderbilt thing, that Scott is safe. So it is what it is at this point with Woodward. I think he's fine. I think that's not the Scott who's an athletic director that should have been canned last week. I believe that young man is in Gainesville. But look,
Dane, I would say he's 1-2, and because he hired Chris Peterson that made a playoff at Washington.
Right. It's not just the Jimbo disaster.
Mm.
So
his last two are really bad. But Carter, football is king, though, brother.
No,
and you only get one of these, and people will completely go away from Jay Johnson being hired and Kim Mulkey being hired because of Brian Kelly.
Yeah, it's just hard for me to get there with Scott. And let me.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, let me be clear. I'm always very upfront when it comes to a big name with Woodward. There are a lot of people in the LSU media sphere that know Scott. I do not know him.
If he fires BK and doesn't go after Lane Kiffin, then he will be fired.
Yes, and I will say, when I did my coaching search videos, my number one guy was Lincoln Riley, and then number two was Lane Kiffin. And obviously, we've seen what Lane has done over the past couple of years. He's arguably been, per expectation, the best coach in the entire conference. It's probably still Kirby, but he's up there. I do think it's important to point out with Brian Kelly, I do think you are right about the culture thing. There are so many kids that have not transferred where it was clear you would think that they would transfer.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of buy-in and togetherness on this year's team. It was ridiculous how many players that you would speak to, and they would say that not just publicly, but privately. The parents that you speak to normally, I know you do, Blake. I speak to a lot of parents of players that are currently on the team. The problem, though, is Brian Kelly between the headsets sucks. He sucks. And that goes outside of hiring just coordinators. It's been abysmal. The fact that you run it back with Joe Sloan, knowing how bad it was last year, and that you couldn't take yourself out of you winning some games that you probably shouldn't have won. And the thing that really bothers me, Blake, is Brian Kelly's message. And there's two messages that really bother me. The first is telling fans that they are spoiled. I'll let you respond to that at first.
It's a fireable offense.
You can't do that. You simply cannot.
Not when the fan base is tied for second since the year 2000 in national championships. But then I get he's mad. Listen, I say a lot of dumb shit when I'm mad too, so I kind of forgive him on that one. That's not you being spoiled is the one I will forgive him for, because he's got a quarterback who, quite honestly, if we want to rip do you want to rip the entire Band-Aid off?
No, go on, dude.
Okay. He's hurt. He's not injured. Just being blunt. I mean, he's out there now, and quite frankly, I know that he sought medical attention from others, and quite honestly, they told him that, hey, man, you're just going to have to suffer through it. I mean, you're hurt. You're not injured. So I can understand him coming out and saying, I have a lame duck quarterback, and I just beat a team that, quite frankly, Carter, probably has 4 first-round picks on it. I can understand that one. Let me tell you the one I can't get over. This is probably going to be your number 2. We're keeping receipts, and we'll see you in the national title.
Yeah, it's tough. That's really
tough. That's the one that I can't get over. The second one that I can't get over is, hey, you haven't done your job in helping us with NIL, and then we went out there and helped you with NIL, and you floundered it.
And there's plenty of other instances where the messaging is just off. The fans have been furious with Garrett Nussmeier's hurt, injured messaging. It's been abysmal. But this is one thing.
And he's not hurt. He's not hurt now. He wasn't hurt 3 weeks ago. Carter, I got to be real with you. He wasn't hurt against Ole Miss. I don't care what people tell me. I think he was laboring because he was scared he was going to get re-injured. I was told multiple times he wasn't hurt.
I will go one step further. If you're a coach that talks about process and you want to be a process-oriented coach, you cannot have the same mistakes happen during games every single time.
Judge me in year 3 is another one.
Judge me in year 3. And, the constant, next week, we got to get better at these things, and the slamming of the tables, and, Vanderbilt posting that joke that they did, and no LSU fan coming to his defense.
Well, just call it what it is. You're embarrassed.
And now
he puts his foot in his mouth. And one thing people can't stand is being embarrassed. They don't mind you losing. They don't want to be embarrassed.
And we'll get to a few supers. This is the big one as well. It's kind of an overarching thing that doesn't, really come back to bite you because it's more of a subjective thing. If you're going to say process over results, how come so many of the wins you've had were lucky? I mean, just downright atrociously lucky victories.
Which ones do you consider luck?
I mean, there were so many in 2022. Okay, that's year 1. Okay. Then obviously in 2023, Jaden. We can all call that what it is. One of the biggest disappointments in LSU history. You've said it. I've said it. I think that it's just not been as blunt as it is now. And then in 2024, you had a bunch of lucky calls go your way in the South Carolina game, and then the Ole Miss game was the Ole Miss game. Lane continues to outcoach you in these games, and the Magnolia Bowl is a big deal, right? That's a game that LSU would win all the time outside of a Bo Wallace win there or here or whatever. It's crazy how badly he's getting outcoached in these games. And I understand I'm a film study guy. I've built 3 different YouTube channels via film study. I won't ever claim that I know as much as the coaches and so on and so on and so on.
I'm not so far to say that we don't know more than Sloan.
I won't go that far. But Sloan's been bad. It's been really bad. And the fact that he decided to run it back is crazy. I think it's insane to me, though, when you watch these games and you clearly see how badly we are getting outcoached, and and it's not just schematic things, it's simple game management things, and it will cause you to have an aneurysm. And the problem is you don't really see many changes happening with that, right? What do you see on the sideline? You
Well,
see Brian,
I hated the Baryon situation.
what at the
I don't give two flying shits that him and a dude are squabbling on the 1 yard line. Ref broke it up. It's not listen, you got to be screaming, get on the ball, get on the ball, get on the ball, let's go. So what? But see, let's just say hypothetically, because Baryon's out of the game with 10 seconds left to go on the clock.
Stupid.
Okay.
It's so stupid.
Even if you wanted to take him out, why did Cortez Hankton take out the slot receiver?
Took Aaron out too. Yeah, it makes no sense. It's just too much chaos.
It makes no sense, and you're responsible for what Cortez does and what Joe Sloan does. Carter, if you would have been down 3, and then you score a touchdown and you kick it off to them, and they have another 3 and out. I mean, I know that they had 2 3 and outs, but what happens there? I mean, the intensity level is completely different. They probably coach it differently.
I also will say that moment felt like Les Miles at the end of 2020.
Oh,
and
it might have been worse.
It
might have been worse. Let's just be honest. It was probably worse.
It's definitely up there. And
besides the spike it.
And that's the thing. You think of Brian Kelly as a better coach than Lesser Ed, and there's actually more of these mistakes that are happening. Okay. In back-to-back games. Intentional grounding is a call that you can actually get into the line judge's face and say, hey, let's review this. Not do a full review, but there were 2 missed intentional grounding calls in each of the last 2 games.
Do you think he cares?
Do I think Brian Kelly cares about this job? Yes and no. And the reason I would say yes is that I do think he still shows effort. He still shows want to. But the fact that these very specific things continue to happen every single game lets you know that he might be burnt out. And I have been around SEC coaches where it's clear he's burnt out. A few years ago, I had a chance to
Nick was burnt out.
Yeah. A few years ago, I had a chance to spend some time with Sam Pittman. And then that was before, not this past season, but the season before. You can look into his eyes and be like, he's not there. It's James not
Franklin.
Yeah, him too. It's not a for the money thing. He just doesn't have it anymore. It's a lot. It's 12-hour days. It's there was a lot that's been going on with Brian Kelly and the move and everything mixed in there. It sucks. It's you do begin to worry that Coach Polian, which was by his side for so long, he leaves after a year, and then the Denbrock situation, which I don't want to get into. You and I have talked about it plenty of times, but there was another Denbrock divorce that just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Where there was one at Notre Dame where Denbrock went to Cincinnati and had an amazing amount of success without Brian Kelly at Cincinnati. Then Denbrock leaves, goes to Notre Dame with a young defensive head coach. He's been a top 5 OC in the country. And yeah, we can get into, hey, the offense was Jaden and the offense was Malik and Will and everyone. But Mike left.
They just had a running back room that totaled 470 total yards combined yesterday. No, it's not. It's not just Mike's a good OC.
I do think based on what happened there, if BK wanted Mike bad enough to come back, do you think he would have said yes?
No. Not without Joe Sloan. Joe would have to go.
It's tough. It's really tough.
I mean, here's the real question. How do you not know that there's a divide between your Heisman Trophy winning quarterback and your quarterback's coach? Nobody really said anything about Jaden missing Joe Sloan's name and pretty much passing over it in the Heisman Trophy speech. With all due respect, he mentioned an off-field personnel guy before he mentioned Joe Sloan.
Interesting. I didn't think about that.
Well,
I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it.
He said, and Coach Sloan. And Coach Sloan. You mean to tell me your quarterback's coach gets an and Coach Sloan? So, look, man, here's the truth. Big Mill in the chat, you see what he says, y'all are dumb. We're just having a conversation.
No,
I will be in Baton Rouge on Friday. You can come call me dumb to my face. I will just say this. I think that, Carter, the buy-in from the fan base is over. It's done. That divorce is finalized. The only way that you get it back if you're BK is if you win out. It's the only way.
The funny thing about it, Blake,
and he can't. By the way, he can't. He's not. We're not winning out.
No.
So, Carter, now the question becomes: are you in a pickle? And the fate of your program rides on it.
Yeah. So, I will say it was alarming how many South Carolina fans at the LSU game were like, and nobody really cares here, which is wild to think about. I think fans are just tired of the offensive product being what it is. And
you can suck and lose games. You can lose games and be exciting. You can't lose games and be not exciting. I don't forgive very quickly. I actually forgive Brian Kelly a little bit for 2023. Can I tell you why?
Let's hear it.
Because I think that they overachieved so much early. And we got to remember that this dude still had 30 scholarship players when he got here. Right? Like, he still went and had to go get Jaden Daniels. I get Malik and BTJ were here, but like I get all of that. But now it's starting to become unforgivable. To be honest with you.
I just can't get over the Sloan thing. And then to not give him more help in terms of analyst and
Carter, me and you talked about this. We had a massive debate about it before the season. You don't remember it?
Yeah, let's go. Let's hear it.
You said that he could walk back not helping Sloan in play calling. No, he couldn't. He never could. When your head coach walked out there at Florida last year and had a play sheet, he could never walk that back. You mean to tell me that you had to help call plays for the guy that you kept? What? You can't do that. This isn't Chef Boyardee University. This isn't where you come to learn. I would rather you take the whole play sheet and call it yourself and ride that. If you're gonna do it, have fun. Calling plays is fun. Do it.
The creme de la creme should be the LSU offensive coordinator job.
Without a doubt. And listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. There's 2 freshman wide receivers on your sidelines that's better than the wide receivers that are playing for you right now.
And I will tell you,
Manchild and Phillip Wright are going to be better than some of the receivers you're playing today.
Oh, that's bold.
You go ahead and you remember this. You remember my Trades thing. You called me a madman. Trades Green might be the best player on your team, not named Mansour Delane. And to be blunt with you, I think that he's going to have a better career than Mansour Delane. And think about this. You're throwing the ball to Bauer Sharp instead.
Well, Sharp has been a disaster.
Yeah, he's not a good player.
He's been a disaster.
Yeah, he's been a disaster. So, again, it is what it is. Ooh, good question. Hankton never had a wide receiver rotation this deep until BK said wide receiver room was 8 deep. SEC starting caliber receivers. Yeah, but he also had Malik and Brian Thomas Jr., so he didn't need to rotate him in and out. Hankton never had. Can we go back to that question?
No, go on ahead.
You know how that works.
Yeah, if you're a wide receiver coach and you are a passing game coordinator that makes just under $1 million a year, you're going to have a lot of say-so in who
In the
plays in your.
rotation. No, I'm
Yeah,
telling you, I know that he had. That's why I went to the press conference and asked it.
right.
It is abysmal.
You definitely know. I've known this for a good little bit now. Hankton's not been good. It's
No,
not just a Sloan thing though.
but my brother in Christ, who were the receivers you got in last year's class, and who did they get recruited by? Who did they get recruited by? Because it wasn't Cortez.
You tell me.
It was Frank Wilson. And everybody wants Frank gone. But to be honest with you, I see more promise in his running backs after the last 2 weeks in developing than I do anything else. I mean, Carter, you were running for 6 yards a carry and you didn't go back to it. Harlem Berry was running the fucking football for 6 yards a carry, and he had 5 carries for 32 yards in the first quarter, and you didn't go back to him but 1.5 times after that. Let me state what I just said again. They are killing you in time of possession, destroying you in time of possession, and you thought that your best course of action was to let a guy who's coming off of an injury throw the football around.
And Caden Durham needs to score there.
Regardless if he does or doesn't, you should be able to score in from the 1 yard line.
And I think he should have been able to score on the 1 yard line run. I don't know if you've been able to Zapruder that play. I've Zaprudered it. Caden has scored so many tough 1 yarders and converted so many tough short yardage stuff for a smaller guy that he's got to get paid earned right there.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, let's go. And I'm the biggest Caden defender. I defended him during this Juwan should get more touches stuff, and maybe he should, maybe he shouldn't. Let's go to Dane. What kind of offensive staff should BK hire when he could be fired?
Oh, buddy, they got to shoot for the ceiling. Who's the best OC in the country right now?
All right, I'm going to get destroyed for this. Destroyed.
Bobby Petrino?
That would make so much sense. It would make so much sense. I don't think
going to get the Arkansas job.
I don't think so. No, as simple as that would be for Arkansas, it would save him a lot of money. He's indebted to the university. He wants to be there. He wants to be the head coach. He's told all of the people that I talk to pretty often at that university that he is willing to really lock in. If he is let go, that should be Brian Kelly's first call. Now, I understand that would be strange. That would be weird. He jumps around from different jobs, and you have to give him a lot of autonomy, which I think BK would be fine. Bobby Petrino has been that good.
If you'll give autonomy to Joe Sloan, he'll give it to Bobby Petrino.
Yes. I can't, and it's not an Arkansas thing. Trust me, I've had a tussle with BK, not BK, Bobby Petrino before. So I'm not stooping for him just to stoop for him.
All right, outside of him, what's realistic?
It will cost a lot, but the Georgia Tech offensive coordinator, whose name slips my mind, and they just gave him a raise. What is it, Bubba Callahan or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I love their offense, and he would for sure have a dual threat quarterback to run it. He needs a dual threat quarterback to run what they do. I know he would say no. A lot of OCs would say no to that.
Buster Faulkner.
Okay, I said Bubba Cunningham. Whatever. What do you think about that name?
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because.
Are you going bigger?
Oh, you'd have to. I mean,
I love his offense. I love the way Georgia Tech runs a program. They're physical.
No, I do too. But yeah. Is your toughness there along the offensive line built in like theirs? Because
that's what I'm saying. I want what they have. They don't. They lose Eric. They lose Eric Singleton, who's better than any receiver that we have. And they're not as explosive as they were last year, but they're still really good. So it's whatever. Jace Max, thank you for the kind words. Don't forget, check out AYS Sports. I am on with him every Tuesday night at 7:30. Brian Kelly referred to his players and staff as they. I think BK
using pronouns, huh?
No, that's the rage. I think BK came here and thought Louisiana and LSU football was sweet. The offensive staff is all shit.
I do think he feels like we're dumb to some extent.
Really? You think he
Yeah, I I feel like he talks to us like he thinks that we're simple people, which we might be simple people. Simple people might get you fired.
It's never wise to be the smartest man in the room. I'll always put it
the
like
wisest man. Yeah, right.
Why do you think Ed succeeded here? We had a bunch of smart people. And Ed was a good coach when he was locked in. I still want to be A&M, but I want BK fired. Next staff should retain Baker, Raymond, and move Frank Wilson to head of personnel.
That won't happen.
No, that's
Frank would retire.
And Blake would. I still think Blake's going to have some head coaching opportunities this offseason. Will Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss for Florida?
He would probably. I mean, I think he would.
FAU loves the area. Probably wants to be closer to Tampa. So Lane lost his dad, and his dad, of course, is famous.
Lost his mom too, didn't he? Lost to somebody else too.
Yeah. I am sky high on Lane Kiffin, and I think he's the best coach in the SEC right now, not named Kirby Smart. Let's go to Josh. Results will determine future decisions, but this week, do you think we'll get max effort this weekend against A&M this season?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
I also think.
I mean, people got a lot to play for.
I also want to see some changes at the linebacker position, especially if Witt's healthy. I can't do Harold Perkins playing every snap in another SEC game. Can't do it.
Yeah, they went right at him.
It was
that's on Blake. That's on Blake.
No,
that's on
Harold. And I understand that. I was very critical of Harold Perkins in my film study this morning. I made it a point though at the end to say, hey, this is a Blake Baker decision to not only play him every snap, to also give him the green dot. And then, of course, your hands are tied behind your back because you don't have Witt. That was the main message that I got. What I would say is they don't play the same position. And then on top of that, Harold still played every snap versus Ole Miss when Witt was healthy. And a good chunk of the big plays happen in the direction where Harold Perkins is lined up. Alexander says Barry Sharp was the biggest portal miss. I disagree with that. I strongly disagree with that.
Who do you think it was?
You make a case it's Nick because it's just another wide receiver that's in the room that doesn't do anything. And part of it was, hey.
And they still try to give him playing time.
And
they're trying to be everybody's buddy. Like if I'm Barryon Brown today, I am super pissed, and I think I ruined my career.
Let's go to TJ. My excitement for LSU football is done until BK is gone. I do need to give TJ a lot of credit. TJ has been on this for 2 years, and he's a big supporter of yours as well. Mm-hmm. He's been calling it out, and he's been yelled at in the chat by quite a few people, and he was saying BK's just not that great of a coach.
I mean, listen, I forgive 2023. I'm in the minority of that. It's not easy to say, and people don't like hearing that, but I still think he had a long way to go to rebuild things because of what happened to him. I mean, again, we got to realize, Carter, he had to take over 50 portal players damn near in the first 2 seasons. I mean, he literally did not have a choice. But all of that being said, I also am into a situation where, for me, you're right. He doesn't coach well in between the headset. He gives way too much autonomy. When at Notre Dame, he didn't meddle that much. I mean, he meddled more than what he's meddling at LSU. And I think that, yes, I mean, like, do I think he wants to win? Yeah, I think he wants to win. I don't know if he is doing, and everybody's doing everything to win.
You can't in this age go 2 for 4 on coordinator hires. You just can't. And Mike Dimbrock, that was a really good hire.
Well,
but,
let me ask you a question.
yeah, let's hear it.
Not to defend Matt House any, but did Matt House was Matt House given the tools to be successful here?
In 2023, that defense should have been better. But
I mean, we thought that Sage Ryan, we thought that Major Burns, you started a 3-star corner who got benched this year, by the way. So to be honest with you, you went out there and said we had to give Blake Baker the tools to be successful. So it can't be personnel and Matt House. I don't think Matt House was given the personnel and everything was blamed on him, right? Like I think two things are true. I think personnel actually stunk. Be honest with you, I think the entire defensive line that year stunk. I mean, again, to say you missed on Matt House would be to say, then why did you just spend $20 million in the portal on defense?
One more thing on Matt House is, and once again, I will be labeled the #1 Harold Perkins hater. It was really hard to have this massive move for Perk in that season at linebacker. It go disastrously as it was in the season opening game versus Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
And it was scrapped. It was scrapped. They're like, okay, he's not good at that position. And then he's got to figure out where else am I going to put him? How am I going to make this work? So I don't want this to turn into a defense of Matt House, because I was his most vocal critic when the hire happened. But, it is what it is at this point. I do want to talk about Garrett Nussmeier really quickly. So this will be crazy, because you said earlier that Garrett played really well.
I thought he played. Nah, I didn't say he played really well. I said he was gutsy. I think he played good enough. I don't think he played really well at all.
Yes, and normally it's me defending Garrett from harsher criticism. It's normally the other way around.
No, he was bad.
I don't think it was bad, but there were some pretty bad misses in this game that were borderline really, really, really egregious. And look,
and Carter, I got to be honest with you. I don't think it was a badly called game, really.
No. And that's the hard thing about it. That's the hard thing about it was Sloan was actually fine. The first extended red zone possession, that was not Joe's best red zone possession. He would probably like a few calls back from that. But and people will see tomorrow on the film study at 6 p.m. Central. I thought I was going to like the Garrett game a lot more after the rewatch.
No, it was bad.
And I was like, oh my God, dude.
Let's give an example. Remember the first possession of the game on a 3rd down, right before the 48-yard field goal. He throws an out route to back. He throws the quick hitch because of pressure to Trades Green. It's behind him.
Yeah, that was so bad. It was so bad for a lot of different reasons. And look, I'll go through the reason.
Name the reason. Well, because he's got somebody in coverage on a safety running a fade in the end zone. Who is it?
It was Berrien Brown. So
exactly.
So there was a lot that I disliked about that, and it's impossible for me.
He got scared.
It wasn't just that. It wasn't just that though, Blake. And I actually reached out. Okay. Most film studies, I'm just giving my honest opinion, but I did reach out to someone that's called plays before at the D2 level. So it's not D1, and it wasn't when there was helmet communication. All right. So I want to include that. And I asked about that. It's amazing you bring that up. I asked about that play specifically. And the way the protection was set on that play made very little sense.
Did they slide right?
So they slid right.
Did they slide right or slide
so
left?
they slid right.
Right.
And then the left tackle picked up the end instead of the blitzing backer, which to me, I would prefer if I'm setting the protection there.
Where did Caden go? Did Caden go to the edge or did he go to the backer?
He went to the edge. So there was unblocked B gap pressure, where if everyone blocks down, you have plenty of time to get that fade ball to Berryon. I will say that's how I think Jaden would have said it, or that's how it would have been.
Can I be frank with you? That's not how they do it, though.
So you think
No, I think that, I mean, remember all the times where, like, let me give an example. I think a lot of good offensive lines slide 4, but when you slide, they slide 4 and they keep the tackle on the edge and they make the back pick up the backer. That's how it's normally taught. Going at practice, that's how they've been teaching it.
Let me see if I can pull it up here. We'll do a little film study. Why not? I'm going to do this. It's earlier in the game.
Yeah, it's the first drive of the game.
It's hard because I don't have these. I normally do my own timestamps on these. While I pull this up, what would you do to the LSU wide receiver rotation? Let's just say
I would play 3 people, and you're going to hate this. You ready?
Yes.
The only person I would rotate in would be Xavier on special stuff. I would not play him as a starter. He's a gadget player. He's not an X. You asked me.
No, that's fine. I want you to give your opinions. Every guest is allowed to have.
He's a gadget player.
Let me ask you this since I'm here. You have gone back and forth with a reporter, and
that's what we're calling him.
Well, and he claims to have some dangerous information on BK.
Yeah, okay. Then why would you post that and not report it?
Yeah, that's why I don't get. That's why I was wondering if Blake knew. So here's the player I hear. Okay. So you see Garrett setting. I don't know if he's actually setting the protection or if it's Braylon. I'm not there.
Okay, well, watch Tyree Adams.
Okay, so what I'm saying here.
No, watch Tyree Adams.
Yes.
So rewind it. All right, Garrett goes up and checks something. Can you go to the check? All right, let's watch this.
Okay, I'm just gonna let it go.
All right, he gives him something here. I mean, who really gives a shit what he gives him here? All right, watch Tyree. Watch Tyree. He's gonna hit 78. They should be sliding left. Why in the hell do they slide right?
Yes.
All right, pause it. This is my 2 cents. You ready?
Yes.
Either 2 or 24 is coming. So 56 has to know alert. By the body language, you can tell 2's not coming. All right. So you know the edge is coming in the far right 96. As a center, I'm calling lucky. We're going to fan out. We're going to fan out to the left because you got 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, right? But 61 should take 15, 78 should take 22, 71 should take 29. If you anticipate that 8 is coming. Now, you can't know that, but you have 4 to block 4. Now, let me tell you how I think it's being taught. 71 gets 29. If 29's got a check to either number 8 or 22 here, 78 and 61 stay on the interior here. 61 can have the option to punch the 1 tech. You see the 1 tech in between the center and guard. He can punch the 1 tech and then go and help for 24 because now you got 3 numbers coming. So this should be an alert. This should be an all-out alert. So let's go ahead and roll it.
Okay.
Yeah. See,
So
so hold on, pause. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you got 5 guys on 5 guys. They send 7. Number one, if you're talking about a blocking scheme, 29 never takes. So on this, 29 never takes the outside guy ever. He's got to go in. He's got to go inside. The
Right.
rule of offensive line play is to always take the inside guy because he's got the shortest path. I think Tyree Adams does the right job here. Everybody's passed off correctly. They anticipated it at the last time. I can see why Garrett calls right. Because, look, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 on the slide right. But I get it. Because of, in my opinion, Carter, you have the running back on the left. You feel like that you have some protection. I don't mind the right call here. I don't think it's egregious. But here's the thing with Caden Durham. First off, he can never take the outside guy. He's got to know that the inside guy's coming there. He's got to know. Right now, he's got to know. And he's already leaning left. All right, but you can go. This is why I can't.
No. Okay. So if I were to – I have a tough time believing Tyree is at fault here.
He's not at fault. He's not at fault.
I have a tough time.
No, he's not at fault. It's how it's taught. But he's got it. But you're sending – here's the thing, Carter. They send 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They send 7. Somebody's getting through whether you like it or not. So Tyree,
it just can't be 22 on block.
Well, then this isn't on the offensive line here. That's on Caden Durham.
Yes,
Caden has got to go to the inside guy, regardless of it. Carter, he's got to. This is on 1,000% on 29. He's got to take the inside guy. What do they have let me ask you this question: what do they have on the left here? Do you know what the formation? Do they have a slot receiver?
It's trips to the right. So that's why Garrett is right to slide the protection.
So basically, you have a one-on-one. Who's at the top of the screen?
That's Chris to the top.
Okay, what does he run?
No. I think that's Chris to the top, or Xavion, either one. And then this is in the slot. That's Kyle. Your number 2 is Barryon running the go which is where the ball should be going.
And he's flat-footed, Carter. Look at the safety. He's flat-footed.
Yes. So the ball should be going to Barryon if we protect this.
Or Chris. But it should go to Chris, right? What does Chris run?
Well,
because it's 1 versus 1.
Right.
Oh, see that, and they backed out.
Yes. So
damn, look, he's got Kyle Parker underneath too. He's got Kyle Parker. Kyle runs an out. He's got Kyle wide open.
So the thing is, and this is why I was talking about Garrett, because to me,
why the fuck did he not throw this to Kyle Parker?
Because, and let me say this while I'm on full camera. One of my biggest criticisms of Garrett is he will just get so enamored with any type of off coverage, planning and throwing the deep comeback route to the opposite hash. He does it so often, and there's positive reasons for that. I am not doing it there, though. And the reason I wanted to go full screen, because I want to let everyone know that I've shared this so many times that, yes, it is good to play pitch and catch on outs. But here, if we're going to be honest, this very well could have been intercepted going the other way.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a better,
because he's squatted.
That's what I'm saying. Is
dude, Chris is running a dig.
Yes, the reason why the throw to Trades doesn't make any type of sense here is if I am on that far of a distance, right? I am sitting heels on the sticks, jumping any type of comeback, especially if this corner, I don't know this corner at all.
Jordan Matthews.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I should have looked up his name beforehand. But if I've watched any film, I know that the outside receiver on these trip formations, LSU just likes to run deep outs on this. So I would be squatting and jumping anything here. Okay. And you see he's a little late. If he had just a better jump, he might be going the other way and picking that off. It's a really bad throw. So
look at Barryon. Look at Barryon.
And that's what I'm saying. Like that's a walk-in. There's no way that guy on the number 2 receiver, which is Barryon Brown, is stopping that. If we had any type of deep protection, he's walking in. If the throw is not underthrown, which Garrett has done quite a few times. Okay. So if you knew how many different calls, one of which was not returned from someone at LSU about that play has been bothering me.
Well, then when the hell did he check to?
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to figure out, number one, what was, if there was a change in the route, which does look like there was an alert. And then number two, whose fault was that on the protection? And if I were to guess, it's on Caden, and part of that is,
yeah, it's on Caden.
Even if the offensive line is as bad as it's been, Caden's pass protection has been wildly inconsistent and bad. And there was another blitz up the gut on a comeback that Caden whiffed, and Garrett took a shot right in the chart.
Well, and here's another thing. Your alert should, I mean, it seems like he's so worried. And what does he tell Caden here? I mean, can you go back to the beginning of the play?
This is the thing. If you do these film studies, you can go hours. You can go hours on play.
Just do it for me one more time.
Okay. Well, the famous philosophers known as Daft Punk made a lot of money on that one more time phrase.
Go back to the all 22, the coach's copy.
Okay, this is it.
Go back to the beginning part though.
Okay, so you want the very
I want the 22 copy of it.
All right, so this is a 22 copy of it. Unless you want the end zone copy. You want the end
zone copy.
Okay, all right. We'll do end zone.
All right. Hold on. Go back. What does he tell Caden here?
So
hey. All right, hold on. He's trying to check into something. All right, big dog, check into something. All right, he's calling alert. Caden looks 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, why is Nuss pointing to the outside guy? Look, boom. Go back. All right, boom, stop. Get 8.
That could be, that's what I'm saying.
Carter, he's sitting there pointing at him. That's on Garrett then.
That's if that's what he's saying. I don't know.
Carter, what did he say? Hey, that man's had spaghetti for lunch. I mean,
no, that's not what he's saying. That is, I don't know what he's saying.
You know what he's saying.
That's why.
And then look at Caden. Then look at Caden's actions. All right, I'm going to take a step out. Nuss told me go get the outside guy. You know exactly what he said. He said, go get the outside guy.
Okay,
that's on your quarterback.
So the thing
your quarterback don't know protections.
Okay. Let me say this before we go any further, just so we're all on the same page. Okay, so this isn't technically a 0-0 blitz because 2 guys do back out. Okay, but it is basically 0. So you're treating this as an all-out blitz.
Why wouldn't you call something shorter?
Okay, that's another thing. All right,
but so they don't out blitz. 24 here is going to back out.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, though. But you have to treat it with them crowding the line of yes. So, if this is flying over some people's heads because people just want to talk, and look, make sure I acknowledge a few of these other supers. Okay, we're gonna get to all these. Dane, Benny, thank you for being a member. Real
get to L's super chat when we're done.
Okay, L, welcome to the channel. Okay, you don't.
Yeah, L, welcome to the channel.
What is that? Was I not
inside joke?
Okay. So you know L?
Yeah, I know L.
Okay, named after L. That's a great name. What is it? The famous magazine L. There you go.
Maybe she should put an NO in front of it and see what happens.
Here is the okay. If you don't know anything about football schematics, basically, the problem with this, the structural rot of this is, let's just say everybody is blitzing. You want one of these outside guys. If there were to be one person unblocked, you would want it to be one of the outside guys. You never want it to be either a B
Yeah,
gap.
so either the 96 is not going to get blocked or 8 is not going to get blocked.
Right, to the far left. So the guy to the far right or the guy to the far left. So
Right.
the crux of this is 22 needs to be blocked. It just seems elementary that most running backs are picking up 22 if they have to choose. That's what everyone tells them. So now I have asked quite a bit, that's why I reached out to this D2 play caller who I trust a lot. He's won championships, and he was perplexed by how this was handled. Okay. If 22 gets picked up, the reason why this is a big deal is if 22 gets picked up, you're probably hitting the deep shot to bury on. But the problem with that, to go even further, is even if 22 was picked up, does Garrett have the wherewithal to actually throw the football to bury on? Because we know Garrett is not the most willing.
Right, but keep going. See, he has a whole bunch of time, though, even with the guy coming. Look where Barryon is.
Yes.
So go back. So even in the inside slot fade, look how much, regardless, look how much time he has.
And that's going to be
how much time he has.
Okay, so that's going to be the final thing here. Is
78, even though he's told to slide right, has got to fan back more. So 78, when you take your slide step, it's basically here. You're shooting right. You're technically supposed to slide, but you're supposed to give ground too. Watch how 56 does it. Like 56 gives ground. See, he's giving ground. You slide back and right, not forward and right. But even
then, this is why I have said, and this is why when I came on here, because you and I've had plenty of Garrett debates.
Garrett. He's got to throw the slot. He's got to throw the slot fade,
or throw it to Kyle.
Where's the gunslinger gone?
I don't know. I just think out of all the different options, how this was protected.
He should have thrown it to 6.
And that's the other thing I like about slot fades. To normally the number 1 receiver, but in this case, the number 2 receiver. Slot fades are such quick hitters that you can still sit in here with the guy.
So what did you think overall? So basically, I just ruined your whole thought. Did you think he just played bad again?
No, I came to that own conclusion myself.
I'm saying you think he played bad.
Who, Garrett?
Yeah.
The game. Okay, so this was my thoughts in the post game live stream, because you had the DJ Chester situation. And then obviously Weston played like Weston has all season long. So I took all of that into the equation, and Garrett was better in this game. But I said, hey, he was better, not quite to Garrett's level last year, but better in comparison to what he's been over the past couple of weeks. And then after rewatching today, it was worse than I thought. And I think it's a little bit closer to some of the things. Okay. There was and I'll break it down for tomorrow, because live streams, I'm looking at my analytics right now, people just want us to talk. They just want to see our beautiful faces full screen.
Mm-hmm.
Film studies are better to be pre-recorded and all of it, because it's just a lot of back and forth. There was a shot to Aaron down the left sideline that was there. He slipped, and he could have stepped up and made that throw. Then there was another situation like the one we just broke down, where you had another slot receiver running a go, and it was Kyle Parker at the end of the half, where if you hit that, it changes so much, because
yes, there's the one to Kyle Parker.
It was there, but that one's a little bit tougher, because the blitz did get there a little bit quicker, but it still needed to get sorted out better. So the thing is, it's so structurally bad that there's a lot of different explanations as to what's going on. And as poorly as the offensive line is played, a lot of it is on the QB to get the shit correct. You've got to get everyone aligned properly. Unless the LSU offensive line doesn't follow simple football basic IQ, which goes back to the number one overall principle when you're blocking all-out blitzes. We want the outside guys to go untouched, and we want the inside guys picked up.
Even then, he's got to sit in the pocket and throw that fade.
Or the out. That's what I'm saying is you went from a situation where, okay, so the first down play call from Joe on that drive was abysmal. Then on second down, you had the Xavier drop, all right? And then that was the third down play, which we just broke down for 15 minutes. That was a good play call versus that. I like the fact that that play call had a lot of different answers for what they could have thrown at you, okay? And Garrett took the worst one there. That was the worst one, unless
he could have waited and even hit the dig that Chris is on.
Unless Trades was supposed to do something else. That's what I'm saying. I rarely do I actually reach out to someone.
Yeah, I'm not putting that on Trades.
I'm not either. I'm just saying there was so much wrong with that. And look, you're not there if Xavier doesn't drop it. It was the most simple drop you'll see. But and then there was a lot of this. There was a lot more of this than I initially thought, and it kind of gets masked because Pavia was so unfreaking believably good, and we made it so easy for him defensively. Let's take a few supers.
Can we get to L's before I head out of here?
Okay.
She says Kiffin is not the answer for LSU, in my opinion. He has 60% in conference wins in his tenure at Ole Miss. BK is at 70% at LSU. Not defending BK, but I don't know who I don't know who would replace him. Okay. What happened in the first couple seasons at Ole Miss? That would be my question.
Okay, and then. See, I don't know. I don't know Elle as well as you do.
One of my good friends' wives, so tread lightly.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
And
she'll kick both of our asses, so tread lightly.
True. Okay, so Megan, you know I love you.
This isn't Megan. This is Megan's dangerous, but I'm telling you, she will choke you out. This woman knows MMA and shit. Carter, she'll make
really?
One of those squeeze dolls. I don't know if she knows MMA, but I get the vibe that she'd probably kill you with a pencil.
And you're my least favorite Ruffino. Okay. Ben's number one is my favorite. Damn. I mean, you're by far my least. Megan, okay, if Megan, the last time I went to your house,
offered you brownies and she got you brownies and cookies.
Yes. And she would have not made me a Totino's pizza like you did the first time. I thought when I was going to Blake.
How many times are you ever going to let that go?
No, it's not. Especially, I would have let that go if you weren't Italian. If you.
My whole house was in a renovation, and that's what Carter remembers.
Yeah, it's
not a brand new studio that got built. None of it.
None of it. There's. I will say that Totino's was fine and move the chains. I was hungry. I was driving all day. Here's my thing, though, El. When it comes to SEC win percentages, okay? So let's go to Lane Kiffin's first couple of seasons at Ole Miss when it wasn't quite portal era, and he's having to go up against Nick Saban's Alabamas, all right? He's never winning those games. Whereas Brian Kelly in his first season in 2022 at LSU, I understand he had to rebuild the cupboard, but there was still a lot of 4- and 5-star blue chip ratio caliber guys that you're able to beat those bigger teams. So I think it's important to not really factor in SEC win percentage because look, you look at 60% win percentage compared to 70% win percentage. Is that really that big of a difference for me? And then one other thing I would say, and El, please don't choke me out, please. I can't fight worth a shit. Who was the better team yesterday between Ole Miss and Georgia?
Georgia.
Okay. Compared to what we would think of that game traditionally, though.
Yeah, it should have been a blown out. Talent v. talent.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Lane Kiffin losing all those amazing defensive players
Has a better team.
And this was the quarterback that he actually wasn't going to roll with. Okay. And Trinidad, I hate when people say D2 quarterback Trinidad Chambliss. He's better than a D2 quarterback. He wouldn't have gotten offered money by Temple and all these other schools if they didn't think he was good. He was this a diamond in the rough situation? Sure. But you have to admit, Trinidad's way more talented than just saying, hey, he's a D2 guy.
I mean, he's probably more talented than even Ole Miss thought, clearly, because he didn't start.
He didn't start. Okay. And
he's just a gamer, man.
Dude, he's good. He's so freaking good. Like, it's not like, is he a top 3 quarterback in the SEC? No. Do I think Gunnar Stockton's better than him? They're pretty even. They play very similar. But
Gunnar Stockton had 5 touchdowns now.
Dude, like, that H word's going to start.
Would you take Gunnar Stockton or Garrett Nussmeier?
Oh, Gunnar. That's not close right now. And where it's not because look, where was the game decided between LSU and Vanderbilt? What was the big difference between LSU?
Oh, you couldn't stop them on the ground.
Yes. And what is the most important portion of the field?
I mean, to me, the red zone.
And who scored easier red zone touchdowns? It was Vanderbilt.
Easily them. I mean, because we suck.
And look, I have gone, and now this happens on your channel all the time with Ruffino and Joe. I deal with this a lot as well. I have been defending Mike Bobo like,
oh,
I love Mike Bobo.
What in his bag this year, son?
Dude, I'm just like, it is amazing.
Bag.
If Kirby wanted to really do the Brian Kelly, you guys are spoiled. Holy shit. I'm sitting here like outside film.
Especially when Carson Beck threw 4 picks Friday night.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense.
Can I ask you a question? Do they just show you who they are, the quarterbacks? Aller, Klubnik, Nussmeier, Beck.
Well, I think
none of them got better.
Yeah, it was clear that quite a few of them were casual this offseason. I'll say that. I don't know that specifically for any of them. They can really be the only ones that could answer that.
No, you can answer it. People know. To our point, I would go Lane over BK. At least I know offensively we'll be okay. All else fails, at least I know offensively that he will never allow it to be that way. And he's, it's Lane.
And every chat, the Bama fanners come in. I can't say anything bad about the Bama fans because Tyson.
Yeah, where's the Bama burning videos at now?
Oh, they're nowhere. And I will say I had Bama in my playoff before the season because I thought that was the best wide receiver trio, maybe since 2019 LSU or 2023 LSU. You can probably say that. But, God, dog, Jeremy Bernard is so good. He's the 3rd best receiver on their team.
Who's the second?
I would say Horton. I would say Horton's better than Bernard. Probably not by much. They're such different players.
Right.
And then, obviously, I still think Ryan Williams is the best. He's just hurt. But Simpson is just unreal. And I will say, my Ty Simpson film study made the rounds. And I appreciate Bama fans for that. Still, roll Tide what? F you all day, every day.
All right, I got to go put kiddos to bed.
Okay, I'll let you get the final word on what was a very explosive evening. We didn't yell at each other. I was shocked by that.
What am I going to yell for? I mean, I got called many things this week or weekend. So I'm so callous to it at the current moment, really. Like I'm starting to be just pissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pissed. And I think go ahead.
You don't know him, but my father, I went and had a late dinner with him last night. And it was
Carter.
What?
Papa Carter.
Yeah, so it was like 1 a.m. It was super late because they know I stay up late. I'm cutting the LSU film study and I'm cutting the Arkansas film study and all the stuff I have to do for the SEC channel. And it's like, Carter, I tuned in to Blake's post-game show after yours. And I want to know if he's okay. I didn't tune into the to your post-game.
I was pissed.
We're
I was pissed. I was livid. This is as mad. I haven't been this mad since probably 2021.
Let me ask, would you be open to doing a stream with Fahoko or someone like that?
I mean, I don't mind doing it. I'm not going to because you're going to, I mean, people, we can, but for what extent? What happened at Florida when he was a guest captain? For all of a sudden you to come out here and say like what you're saying. I still don't think that there's a culture problem. Now he took it a little too far but
yeah, and look, and
here's the thing. This is what he posted. He said that there's not a culture problem. We gave up 200 yards on the ground. Okay. You literally last week called it one of the best defenses in the country when you went on with Jacques Doucette. So if you want to see an interview with him, go watch the Jock one. Why you need one with me?
So part of why I want to have both of you on, because I feel like I do see a lot of his side of things, and I can understand.
I don't disagree with that, but culture and coaching are two different things.
Yeah, I think
Orgeron had a culture problem.
And I will tell you this, Blake, is that a lot of people do like Braden. And obviously, you're one of my best friends and all of that. But
it's a casual college football media person's take.
It's easy to point to, which is what I would say to Fahoko.
That's why I say it's casual,
right? And
what are they telling you? Mean to tell me that GMs and staffers, which by the way, the staffers that probably are going to be fired, that they're saying that they have a culture problem. This is how I know staff members and players will not tell you that. Players will tell you things that go on in the locker room, but they want like they're hanging out with one another the entire time. Carter, talk to coaches. I talk to coaches. Coaches don't go around saying our culture's bad. They don't say that. When you're in this business long enough, you know when you're actually talking to people, when it's your job to talk to people. They're not going to tell you it's a culture problem. Is it a culture problem or is it a talent problem?
I think the one thing he did take personal was, you saying name your sources and stuff like that, which is what but I think you were just caught up in the heat of the moment, and I understand that, right?
Well, name it. But Carter,
if
I'm not saying come out here and name the person who told you. You're not a journalist. You're not a reporter. Neither is T-Bob, and he did it.
Right, but I wouldn't want them to name the person, though.
There's no journalistic integrity for a former player who wants to call it out. You had no problem calling out RC, and you had no problem calling out the person and people who told you what RC did in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes,
you don't.
Because you share source information all the time.
Correct.
Right? I would never. You would have to put a gun to my head to me even think about ever burning one of your sources.
Yes, and
you're not a reporter.
I'm not. But there's also a journalistic thing that falls inside of podcasting and what we do.
Right, but I wouldn't want Fahoko to burn.
Don't. But you're not talking to anyone on that building or in that building that's telling you that they have a culture problem. He's saying that a culture problem is what the talent problem is. You mean to tell me that someone inside that building is telling them that they have a culture problem?
There might be somebody. I don't know. That's the thing. You
very well, but hold on. Someone can tell him that and it not be the truth. Let me give an example. There was a podcast that said Brian Kelly didn't allow rap music in the locker room. Was that true?
I don't know.
No, was it true?
I honestly don't know. I really don't know.
It's not true.
I would like to think that it's not, because I've seen plenty of post-game videos, and I've interviewed some of the players.
Okay, it's not true.
I doubt that would be the case, and that would.
It's not true. Okay, there can be differences of opinion. You can be pissed off at Brian Kelly. I'm pissed off at Brian Kelly. Carter, I literally on Thursday, this is the shitty part, said that if you don't do the things like contain Pavia, you get beat because you're not good enough. How many times have I come out here and said offensively, you suck? So again,
I do want to say this. I want Braden to come on the show. If a former player, and I've had some of Braden's teammates on the show, if a former player wants to be that vocal about it, he obviously did the Jacques Doucet interview. I've not done it. I'm a big fan of Jacques, which is crazy that I've not listened to that. But Fiocco, if you're watching this, I want you on the channel. Blake doesn't have to be on here, but I would love both of y'all to be on here so you can chat this out, because it did get passed around a lot. One of my biggest supporters did call because he knows Fiocco and I know you. And he was like, hey, what the heck's going on? And I was like, tell Fiocco to hit me up. Okay. Like, I really want to have him on, because this is a former player who bled.
If we're going to go source for source, it doesn't help LSU. And I'm just going to tell you that I'm not going to back down. So you better be really careful about bringing the both of us on. That's why I haven't done it. So if we're going to call a spade, if you want to go source for source, you better go for it.
I will also say this as far as this team, as far as the culture is concerned. Have there been some players that have kind of faded by the wayside and you're like, oh, he's not dressed out or whatever? Sure. But there have been so many.
That's happening around America.
Yes. When you actually look at portal departures under Brian Kelly, there are so many that did not leave. Okay, a lot did in that first year. Trey Palmer, Nudie McLaughlin, and there are good players
he never coached.
Right. So that was the first year. Now, have there been other transfers? Sure, but there was rarely anyone that actually contributed to the team in a major way outside of Jack Besh and a few others who have gone on.
Again, guys that he never coached. I mean, really? I mean, he had him for
Jack coached him for a year, but yeah. Look, my final thing with you here on Brian Kelly, and this is critical because obviously I personally have never had a conversation with Brian Kelly. I haven't. I've talked to people that have worked with him, obviously, and you know some of those people. I've shown you some of the conversations as well. It's harsh for me to do this. I don't want to do this. I even go one step further. I don't fucking want to do this. I hate. I'll even say a curse word, which pisses my family off, but that's okay. It really makes me uncomfortable because I want every single player to succeed. I want them to take their lives to the next level. I want them to take LSU to the next level. I genuinely care for every single person that puts on that uniform. But the standard is the standard. So I wanted to say this for
does anybody really feel that I have catered to him, meaning BK?
No, I wouldn't have guessed that. No, I would have never.
Okay. So regardless of all of it, Carter, I would just, because I do got to put people to bed, but it comes down to this. What situation is going to get resolved over a conversation that I heard that him have with Jock? What he called a culture problem was that you're not talented enough on the field,
which is plenty fair. And I also want to.
Okay, hold on. Just explain Florida then.
What was Florida?
I mean, a sucky team that didn't have bad culture, and the dude didn't get fired last year over it. We got to define what the word culture means.
Adam, I guarantee you, I have never kissed Brian Kelly's ass. I'm serious. Have I praised him for when I have praised him? Yes. I've also pushed back on some of the compliments towards Brian.
He probably was talking about me, though, right? Because I said, when did I kiss his ass?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there are times when you and I, as LSU fans, when Brian Kelly does something great, we do go crazy because we're LSU fans. There's part of that, right? Even the unbiased members of the media that go to every game as press, they want LSU to win. Okay. Some of them don't.
About his quarterback play being sucky, and I asked about why is he rotating dudes when he shouldn't be rotating dudes. But yeah, you're right. I'm catering to the guy.
I also think when it comes to coaching this team, it feels as if Brian Kelly, like we said earlier, is a little burned out. And I feel as if he doesn't feel he can find the answers to make it work right now.
Yeah, would he retire for a reduced buyout of $25 million?
I think he'd be interested in it. I
We're
think
gonna give you $25 million. Here you go. Bye.
And it would make of course, Brian Kelly, the one thing I'll say about him in speaking to whoever, he cares about the history of the game. And he knows that to be in the upper echelon, he needs to win a national championship. That's why he came to LSU, amongst other reasons. $100 million helps out. But I do think he sees the writing on the wall that it's not going to happen. It could happen. It could happen. But the coordinator hires have been what they were. The coaching has been what it's been. And you just can't get shit right. You just can't figure things out. And I will tell you as someone, and this is the wildest thing, okay? And I know we brought up Georgia a minute ago with Mike Bobo. But I really do think if there's anything that anyone wants to take away from this is, yeah, we don't have as much talent as Georgia. We never will have as much talent as them. But if you watch how Georgia actually wins games now under Kirby Smart, how much of it, Blake, is coaching? I would say it's a lot. Kirby is so damn good at figuring a game out, adjusting, doing small little things. It's not just me that says this. It's people that cover Georgia, people that bet a lot of money on this shit. Does Kirby have better players? Yes, absolutely. But his coaching is top tier. Management is top tier. He never looks overwhelmed by the moment. There are so many times when Georgia gets, and they've won 3 games this year where it looks like they have no shot of winning the game.
Carter, with all due respect, he's got the same number, not as a head coach, but the same number of national title rings as Nick Saban. Like in a career.
Who? Curry?
Yeah, because he was with him at LSU.
Oh, okay.
He was with him at Bama. I mean, you know why he's not overwhelmed? Because he had a front row seat more than anybody for more than a decade and a half around the greatest coach of all time, and then he won 2. No, there's no moment big enough for him. It doesn't exist. He lost a national title on the last play. It does not exist.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like it does. Yeah. And then he won one on the last second play, a pick 6. No, you know why regular season games don't bother him? Because he knows he's been there. Last night was one of the weakest of crunch moments that he's ever had in his life. Think about that. That would be a life and death decision about a program if BK had to make it. You know who else? You know who else looks the same way? I do got to go now.
Yes, you do. I don't.
But you know who else has it right now too? He just won one. Go watch Ryan Day coach.
I mean,
it's so insane, dude.
You know, it's funny. I talked to Matt Patricia for 10 to 15 minutes at the Super Bowl for a little bit. I would have never thunk he would be doing what he's doing now. Now it's easy when you have Arvell Reese and Caleb Downs in a big lead, but Ryan Day's making it work.
You ever heard the? All right, then I'm leaving after this. You ever heard the boxing analogy?
What's that?
When a guy wins a belt, he gets 2 times better. That's the boxing and MMA analogy. Once you win the belt, you just keep getting better. because there's nothing that you're not going to be able to overcome. That's why you have long tenured guys majority of the time.
All right, Blake, we'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
All right, back after this, way overdue for a break. If you want to learn more about saving on your home owner's insurance, PHL Nation, it's time to lock in and get serious really quickly with our friends at Fortified Gulf Coast and FortifiedGulf.com. This is my buddy Ramey. He is one of many Fortified Gulf Coast inspection professionals that are doing something to help you not only save your home, but your memories.
The Fortified program got started about 13 years ago. We adopted it here in New Orleans about 2.5 years ago. It's a more advanced way of doing the roof. It adds an extra layer of protection, whereas even if a hurricane was to pull the shingles off this roof, water will still not get into the house.
So yes, your establishment is important, but what about the things you can't replace? That family scrapbook, or that painting that's been handed down from Meemaw to Papaw and to you. It is important to protect that today with Fortified Roofing. And while this seems like a priceless asset, did you know it can actually save you on your homeowner's insurance up to 37% if you are in South Louisiana? Just call the number 504-444-7563. That's 504-444-7563, or visit fortifiedgulf.com. Power Hour Network listeners and viewers, you might be consuming this content with that crick in your back that you've been trying to get rid of for so long. Take this as your sign today to book your appointment with LabordTherapy.com. In the Lafayette region, there is no one that you will find that cares more about any different type of pain that you might have than the team at LabordTherapy.com. Book today. Once again, that's LABORDE therapy.com, or you can visit one of their 5 locations all throughout the Lafayette region. All right, so just and for if you're just new here, I don't do a lot of guests. I normally just want the guest to be able to bring it. Normally, my co-host is your chats. Now, I have a lot of rants where I don't answer chats. I'm going to get as many as we possibly can. It is a Sunday night. We do go long sometimes on Sunday, but because of some of the film study stuff that I do for my NFL channel that's growing and my SEC channel that's growing, it becomes harder to justify doing longer and longer and longer streams. So if you're new, once again, I go first to the supers and the Venmos. I appreciate William with the Venmo and the Cash App. But I'm going to get to as many as I possibly can. All right, with first-timers holding preference, okay? Let's go to John. I don't think I've ever seen John in here. Vandy lost 10 straight to LSU, and we have 4 natties, and you have none. Congrats with your 8-year, 27-year-old quarterback, but don't think you're okay. Let's go here. All right. AP says Lagway will enter the portal. Okay, something else you got to factor in with a coach. Are you going to get a situation where you fire BK and you have to replace not only your head coach, you got to replace your quarterback, you got to replace your staff? I will say, if you were to scale some of the criticisms that Blake has compared to some of the criticism that I have, I'm a little bit more lenient towards Cortez Hankton. But since Blake is so convicted that Cortez is a massive problem, I will defer to him. I will say Blake does have a lot of strong takes. I have, at times, even stronger takes than him. He knows something, all right? And he shared quite a bit of it. And I have always shared that it makes no sense that a wide receiver rotation is as big as the one we have right now actually is. Now, there are teams that do have successful offenses that have really wide receiver rotations. Take, for instance, Georgia. They have a really, really wide receiver rotation. It would actually be wide receiver rotation. It's pretty big. And they just had 2 get hurt. With that said, that's Mike Bobo, who's a really good play caller. I don't understand why Georgia fans always feel that way. But Blake is so dead set on Cortez being a problem. And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But the big thing that I would ask is two things as far as the offensive staff is concerned. Do you think all of these assistant coaches just completely forgot how to coach football? Or do you think the play calling and overall structural operation is so rotten and the talent, we don't have Will Campbell holding down one side of the line of scrimmage almost every play? Do you think that's part of it? I would say a lot of it is Sloan and the overall operation. I also think when it comes to play calling, I feel like I am in a very unique position because I do study and do film studies on all these different play callers. I tweeted about this last night. It is whiplash watching other operations and then watching ours. Okay. One big disagreement that Blake and I had, and I should have brought it up when he was here, and I felt like it was just so minute in the middle of the Brian Kelly conversation. I do put a lot of what happened at the goal line yesterday on Barry and Brown. I do. You're a year 4 guy. You get in a tussle when our overall offensive operation is already so terrible that we get stopped at the 1 yard line, and almost every single offensive player was looking over at Barry on Brown, trying to figure out what was going on. The ref had already signaled for the next play. So the white hat had to prevent the fight from happening. Then that fight happening allowed Vanderbilt to bring in substitutions. Then very late in the operation, LSU decides to bring in substitutions. 2, and one thing that is of note that we don't quite think about is substitutions at the 1 yard line are more difficult than that at the 50 because it is a longer distance for everyone to run, and every second matters. So in that entire operation, there was so much that went wrong. Okay. Caden Durham had 2 runs, both of which were of higher difficulty, that he would probably tell you that he needs to score. The long run where he got sucked up, and then the 1 yard run, I think he should have scored. It was difficult, but it was doable. So you have that. Then you don't hurry up and run the next play, partially because Barryon is in a tussle when we're knocking on the door in a road game where we are losing by 10. Once again, if we score a touchdown, there's no guarantee that our defense makes a stop and we get the football back and drive down and win the game. It's just that thing, though, that your year 4 guy has that happen, and then he drops a pass on the final play. And then you were to look at it from Berrien's standpoint. He comes to LSU knowing that Garrett Nussmeier is one of the more volume-friendly quarterbacks you could play with, coming from a rancid Kentucky Wildcat system where they had 3 different quarterbacks, plenty of different OCs. You went from Liam Cohen to whoever it was next, to Bush Hamdan, and then with 3 different quarterbacks, you go to Garrett, who's supposed to be the best quarterback, and Garrett has missed you on so many different touchdowns. So now you have that inner frustration. Something else I will tell you is Berryon worked his ass off this offseason. He was understanding that this was a year that he needed to make it work. He only had 1 year of eligibility left. He had 2 years to play it, but he only has 1 year of eligibility left. So you get now that there's all these frustrations with this team. And the thing is, more importantly, at wide receiver coach compared to other positions, you need to put the hammer down and play the best players. Well, it's harder to play the best players when pass protection's not great, the play calling's not great, the quarterback play has regressed, and there is no clear best player outside of Aaron Anderson, who got hurt. So Aaron gets hurt, Kyle goes off. Now you got to add more Kyle reps mixed in there. Then you have Tradez going off, which is a little bit different considering he's this hybrid tight end. And it's too much. It's too much going on. And we still don't have a run play that's the base of everything that we do. Now, you don't need one. It's just, it would be nice if there was one run play that you actually were good at that you can base everything out of. Now, I'm going against what I said. I would go through all these different comments, but I'm ranting again. Adam, thank you so much. Andy says, pay Kiffin whatever he wants. Andy, you know I love you. But you don't want to do the pay whatever he wants thing with anyone. But if you were to want Lane Kiffin and Lane were to come here, you would need to pay what he would need to pay. Then, of course, Ole Miss and LSU being rivals, does Lane really want that on his conscience? Making that move from Ole Miss to LSU, knowing that your past your past jobs have been marred in abrasive controversy. Now, a lot of it was because he was not doing well and he was getting fired for not doing well. We can get into how everything actually went down at Tennessee and so on and so on. Patrick, good to have you back in the chat. Jordan Haddad, one of my best friends in life. Okay, let's go to Pete. I disagree with moving on from Kelly. He's won 10 in a very difficult league every year. Won the West in year one. Okay. If I have to hear one more time what we did in year one. Oh my goodness gracious. What we did in year one. Stop it. Can we stop talking about year one? Year one to me feels like a damn Sony Walkman. It feels like Mr. Big in whatever TV show that was with the housewives in New York City. That's how old it felt. That's how old the year one pointing actually becomes. You know what else happened in year one? Tennessee came in at our house and destroyed us. We also won a game versus Auburn where we averaged 3.8 yards per play offensively, and they averaged well over 6. We were very lucky to win that game. And then what happened at the end of year one? Blown out by a Texas A&M 4-18. What happened versus Georgia? We got blown out. They're one of the best teams of all time. I'll let you have that. We won the Alabama game. It was a great game. Nick Saban made an all-time coaching blunder in that game as well. So, yeah, year one, great. I'll always remember it. 2022 Alabama, especially excluding 2019 and national championship year stuff, might have been our peak in terms of overall euphoria and what could have been under Brian Kelly. But what has happened since then? You were gifted something so much better than 2022 and 2023, and it was wasted. And it wasn't just a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. It was a culture setter in Jaden Daniels. It was an adult, a blue-collar, hard-working young man who took the brunt of everything from the fan base while leading the team to winning what we did in year one. And I was critical of Jaden as well, as was everyone in some of the games that he played. But all he did was become statistically a quarterback as good as any Heisman Trophy winner of the modern era. Now, I will say Joe is better because he went undefeated, won the national championship, and he was picturesque perfect in every game. Jaden was damn near perfect in every game. And we weren't close to making the playoff with Jaden Daniels. Not close. I almost got beat by a third-string Texas A&M quarterback on our home field. Then what happens in 2024? NIL's disorganized. It's a mess. Some of that was over BK's head. And it wasn't just him. But he signed off on that roster that was not good. And one of my stronger takes was saying that very thing, in particular on the defensive side of the football. So we had the 3 years. You had the judge me in year 3 comments. Then we get to this. All of that is absolved. You bring in not only some good transfer portal guys, you bring in some high culture transfer portal guys. Mansour Delane is about business. I listened to a Mansour Delane interview before he ever played it down at Virginia Tech. And that was one of the most impressive interviews I've ever heard. And I couldn't imagine what he's like now. AJ Halsey is amazing. Amazing. AJ Halsey, you would feel if we had won this past weekend, or if you're just actually watching, he's every bit as good as Eric Reed. I'm serious. He's that good. We still can't figure it out. We're still giving up touchdowns where guys are walking wide open. Still can't get anything going offensively. And a lot of that's on Brian Kelly. So when you get into these comments where, oh yeah, we won 10 games. Who gives a shit? It's a round, pretty number. Don't get into the 10-game trap. Don't do it. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's easy at all. It's just don't get into the round number trap. Don't get into it. What are you doing now? Preston Guy with the 11-11 stat. I saw that. Welcome to the channel. Let's get to a few more supers. That one that got away, the one that got away. We're in denial. BK had better talent and coordinators at Notre Dame. It's just the truth. Okay, let's start with that. Did Brian Kelly have better talent at Notre Dame? It, at the absolute best case scenario, is even. But if you were to go to any Notre Dame fan and ask them, look into their beautiful eyes, the Fighting Irish eyes, if you were to look at any Golden Domer straight in the dome and say, hey, is there a quarterback that has played at Notre Dame during the Brian Kelly era that is half as good as Jaden Daniels' toenail? Tell me right now. Every single one of them would say, Carter, we would do anything for a quarterback as good as Jaden Daniels. And I'm a Riley Leonard fan. Fairhope, Alabama, stand up. I'm a fan of some of those other quarterbacks. I thought Deshaun Kaiser was a good college quarterback. Okay. Brian Kelly had better talent than Notre Dame. All right. Quarterbacks, it's different. Not just one guy. All right. So tell me this. Was there a wide receiver at Notre Dame that could hold a fingernail to Malik Neighbors? No. Now, I'm not saying they didn't have good wide receivers. I thought the era of wide receivers at Notre Dame right before Brian Kelly was a fun era. Jeff Samardzija, Golden Tate. But still, yeah, they've had good wide receivers. Brian Kelly also had good running backs. Do you want to make a case that Kyron Williams is a better running back than any running back that we've had during the Brian Kelly era? You can. You definitely can. Offensive line. Will Campbell, of course. Offensive lines at Notre Dame are better. Tight ends at Notre Dame, better. Even though Mason Taylor was really good for us for 3 years. Defensive talent. And get into that as well. Point being is you can't sit here and say, hey, Notre Dame has more talent than LSU. I will not have that. I will not have that. Now, if there was a Notre Dame fan sitting right here, I would say, hey, look, you guys are right about a lot of shit. Now let's get to the next part of your super chat. If y'all want to go all night, I'll go all night. Once again, big thanks to Blake Ruffino. He has a huge platform. NYS. He doesn't need me to plug him, but go follow his stuff. The thing I like about Blake, he and I yell quite a bit. In private conversations, he had another kid, so we don't have as long of phone conversations as we used to, but we have gotten into quite a few spirited debates. And I will tell you, he talks to people in that building a lot. I don't as much as he does. He honestly is on the phones a lot. I can tell you that. I've been on the phone with some of his people, if you will. But the truth is, he genuinely cares about LSU football, and at least he has something to say. Right? He pushes me against my opinions. The funniest thing about it was the craziest thing that I've ever gotten into with him was something not even LSU related at all. It was the 8 versus 9 game conference schedule. And that was shouting for an hour. If you want to see shouting for an hour, watch First Take in the morning and then watch that stream. It was bad. It was very bad. And we didn't talk for a while. It really was bad. But he's not going to, not everyone's going to like him. Not everybody likes me. Look at all these mobile quarterbacks in the SEC, okay? Garrett can't extend plays, and he's not a threat at all to the defense. Yeah, I mean, I strongly agree with that. The extending plays is not the problem. It is a problem, but we knew that was a thing going into this year. Has he run more? Yeah. I got into a interesting situation on a different website regarding the zone read pulls. And Garrett has pulled some zone reads this year. So I give him credit on that. But God, dude, I'm dead serious. I'm not just saying this just to say it. So I'm going to give you behind the scenes on the film study stuff. So literally, LSU normally plays games at night. And normally my live streams, and some of my diehards would tell you, my live stream will end at like midnight or whatever. I am cutting film studies till 6 in the morning. I do not go to bed till 6. Okay, it's a good job to have, right? And normally I'm cutting at least 1 or 2 extra SEC film studies, which I don't spend as much time on as I do the LSU one. And before I cut the offensive LSU film study, I have to rewatch the game. It's a little bit easier to do a defensive film study than an offensive film study. And I was shocked today how much I did not like Garrett's performance from yesterday. Now, it was still really good, and it wasn't his fault. The defensive performance was way worse than our offensive performance, especially when you calibrate it to the expectations of both units. And Garrett did a whole hell of a lot right. And it is really difficult to succeed with the offensive tackle play being as rancid as it was. This is the worst offensive tackle pairing, maybe not just at LSU, ever in the SEC. It's that bad, okay? Especially if you, once again, calibrate it for the talent at our disposal as an LSU program compared to Arkansas's and Vanderbilt's and South Carolina's, where they've always had offensive line issues, in particular South Carolina. They've always been kind of the SEC wasteland when it comes to that position. But like I honestly thought I was going to like quite a bit of Garrett's game, and there was some that I liked, but there were yards left on the field. And the thing is, as far as the rushing is concerned, sure, I mean, we could deal and have a conversation about some of the runs that were available to Garrett, not only yesterday, but in other games. The problem is when you have a quarterback like that, who is not good in the red zone, rushing at the quarterback position is so big in the red zone. It's so big. Just go. You don't even need to do film studies on this. What's really good about evaluating other teams in the red zone is YouTube highlight tapes have most of the great red zone plays. So much of it is mobility. Arkansas's red zone offense, a lot of it is talent. Georgia's red zone offense, everything is predicated around Gunnar Stockton's ability to run. It's bailed them out so much this year. Pavia, you saw it for yourself yesterday, and we made it easy on him. So I can live without the quarterback not running. I can. It's just all the other turnovers that happen in the red zone. And when you miss the 30, 40, and 50-yard touchdown bombs, the only way you can score touchdowns is by getting the football in the red zone and executing. Where last year, we got one of the lowest touchdown percentages in the country in the red zone. That is carried over to this year, and it's gotten even worse when it's actual turnovers in the red zone. You're not even getting 3. You're not even getting 3. I wouldn't say it's been worse in 2021, Max Johnson. And I'm a Max guy. I still cheer for him. Where do I get all 22 film. I posted on the Patreon. So if you want to see the all 22 film that I watch, it's linked down below, patreon.com/LSU football. But yeah, there's other ways you can get it from all the different teams. It's hard though. It's weird because in the NFL, you can just pay $100 a year and watch every single game from every single angle the coaches watch it from. I don't know why the SEC in college football doesn't do it. It's a lot of secrecy and all of that, but there you go. But that's also not why I want you to sub to the Patreon. I want you to sub to the Patreon because you get extra film studies. You get some of our analytical breakdowns. You get extra podcasts. You also get Discord benefits and so on and so on. To someone who's dedicated his entire life to covering LSU football. We need Haynes King. A sentence someone probably never thought that they would type. Haynes King is good. I think you're saying that because we brought up the OC Buster Faulkner at Georgia Tech that I like a lot. And if I love him so much, I should know his name, but he is very good. I love the way the Georgia Tech offense operates. And the way you know it's a good offense when that offense, which, Georgia Tech's had really good offensive players historically, but, they had Jahmyr Gibbs, they had Megatron, and then they had Singleton who went to Auburn. They're still a good offense. They're still a good offense. I like him a lot. If Scott Woodward called me and said, hey, who's an OC we should go after? That would be one. It's just he just got a raise. It's tough. It's really, really, really tough. Jim says Eli Drinkwitz. Yeah, it's strange with Eli. I will say one thing about Elias. Elias an Arkansas guy. One thing he loves about the Missouri job is that he gets to play Arkansas every year. There is no team. I will tell you this, and I can't say this for certain. I really can. I really can. Because you would need to know every coach, and you would need to be way more plugged in than I am. You need to be Pete Thamel, Bruce Feldman, and you're getting all these coaching dirty secrets. I would be hard-pressed to find a coach that hates a school more than Eli Drinkwitz hates Arkansas. There's a lot of history behind that. It's up there. The dude freaking despises them. Despises them. So he likes where he is. That's still like where he is in Missouri is kind of the region where he's from. It's kind of close to where the Arkansas ties are. And he is Missouri football. There's a lot of value in Drinkwitz being the guy at Missouri. Now, Gary Pinkel was really good before him. Odom was fine before him. But a guy like Lane Kiffin, it's the same thing. If Lane stays at Ole Miss another 10 years, he's going to have a statue at the university. He's going to have the longest leash in the SEC. Outside of Kirby, he's got the longest. So, do you really want to go from there where you go to LSU, and unless you're in the playoff almost every year, it's a problem. It's a problem. Something else I would say about head coaching, as far as a head coaching hire is concerned, I try to keep cursing to a minimum, in particular on non-game live streams. And I'm looking at you. I want to look at you. I don't want to look at the chat. I want to look at you straight in the eyes. You don't know shit. You don't know jack shit. You don't. You might think you do. In two different ways. In two different ways, okay? You might think who someone is actually after. I'm talking about like the actual search itself. Who's taking this job? Who's taking that job? There's that. But this is a more important one. You might think who an actual good coach would be at your university. You don't know shit. It's that simple. You don't know. There's a leap of faith with every single coach you were to bring in. Perfect example. let's take Texas A&M, for instance. College football is an offensive game. So you look, there was a guy by the name of Arkansas Quaint on Twitter who is, I think he's like a stock trader in New York. And I think he's from Arkansas. He does really good analytical work. And what his research showed him is that offensive coaches tend to do slightly better than defensive coaches, but it's not anything crazy between the differences between the different types of coaches. Still, offensive coaches do better. Now, if we were to look at this at face value and we were to say, hey, who do you think is going to be better at Texas A&M? A big job, not an elite job, not a top 10 job. It could be now, but do you think it would be Jimbo Fisher off a national championship at Florida State just a few years prior as an offensive wonder kid? Or do you think it's Mike Elko, a defensive coordinator who had good success at Duke? Who do you think would be better? Well, most would say Jimbo Fisher with, by the way, the #1 recruiting class in America before the transfer portal era began. And with easier schedules because the permanent cross-division rival rule was still set in place. And one very undertold story about the Jimbo era is that it was actually worse than people gave it credit for because he had the big advantage of playing South Carolina every year. And that was those Will Muschamp South Carolina teams compared to just missing out on the Spurrier era and the now good era of Shane Beamer. So, you don't know. You don't know. Ed O, you didn't know. Ed O had a gazillion haters. There was not one person in the national media that thought that was a good move. Not one. It worked. You take what happened at the end and it worked. Dabo Swinney was one of the most criticized hires ever. It worked. So you don't know. You don't know. So this would be my thing, and this would be my message to you. And this is always a good thing when it comes to anything that comes with anything in life. The more you recognize that you don't know as much as you probably think you know, the better off your life will be. So if I don't know for a gazillion percent certain which coaches are going to work at which jobs, you know what I would do? I would limit the risk of the next coach that I would hire. So what do I mean by that? Well, I wouldn't do the thing where I am overpaying to go get a big name because I don't know if it's going to work. What I would do, knowing where the model of this sport is going, which is an NFL model with huge staffs and huge budgets, I would focus a lot of my funding on funding my rosters and funding the people who get the players I need for the rosters to succeed. And that comes with all things. Not just head coaching salaries and buyouts, assistant coaches' salaries. Because this would be the thing. So Cortez Hankton has taken a lot of heat in today's stream. More than he has during any portion of any stream ever. It was more so with our guests from earlier today than it was me. Okay? So let's just say Cortez Hankton was a very good wide receiver coach at LSU, which he's been. Okay? He's been. We could talk about, well, anybody would have been successful with Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., and those recruits were before he was there. But for the most part, he's been really good. He's put first rounders, and Aaron Anderson's developed under him, whatever. But even with that, do you think he's worth $900,000 a year? That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And that's not me pocket watching him. It's just something that you have to factor in, your resource allocation. Let me ask you this. Would you prefer to have Bo Davis at $1.25 million, or would you prefer Kyle Williams at $750,000? Personally, I would prefer Kyle Williams because I think the talent at that position supersedes that of the coaching. Even though Bo Davis is a phenomenal coach, and he was good for the most part last year and it was very good at Texas. So the thing is, if I don't know, let's just say LSU decides, hey, we're done with Brian Kelly, we'll pay the buyout. I would pay up for Lane Kiffin. I would probably pay up for a few other names. But, I don't understand these people that say, hey, let's go get James Franklin. What? Why? Especially knowing now that roster allocation and the money that you have to pay rosters now to succeed, is that important? You need the players. You need the players. Would you just promote Blake Baker? I wouldn't be totally opposed to that. I wouldn't. All right, we'll take one more break, and we'll take a few more right after this. It's PHL Live, baby. Let's freaking go.
Let's go!
On a journey together with Zion Imaging, I want you to see this experience up close. And me as a wedding and event DJ, I watched how everybody had so much fun with Zion Imaging. And a big reason for their success is the team. Yes, Jaron Thomas and his family started this off as a passion project, and they have one simple goal in mind: taking your event to the next level. Whether it's a wedding, reunion, quinceañera, school, or corporate event, Zion Imaging is all about family-friendly fun. And I gotta show you on this tour the high-level technology that quickly sends your video session to your phone, whether it's iPhone or Android. Yes, it's the Zion Imaging 360 spin booth experience, serving North Texas, North Louisiana, South Arkansas, Orlando, and more. Give us a call, 318-469-4265. Check us out on Facebook or book us at Zion Imaging, xyanimaging.com. Let's inject some positivity. How about this? We still get Jay Johnson to be our coach. Look at them in the nation's capital. And I don't know if they got to see the president or anyone up there. Look at that. Look at these fine young gentlemen. Monster Milam in the front, not even looking at the camera. Huh? What a team. What a group of dudes. How about it? I love the different styles in this photo as well. Love it. And I'm really excited for some Flau'jae Johnson. I'm so pumped up. And don't get me on a Matt McMahon rant here. Don't get me on. No to Dan Mullen, please. No. I think he's actually happy at UNLV. Now, Dan could coach. I'll tell you that. And I would say this. I would be a little bit more open to Dan in this era where recruiting is not as important. It's still important, but the money is what gets it done. Yeah, pocket watching. I honestly don't like that phrase, to be quite frank, because when it comes to sports, pocket watching is a big deal. It's not against someone making X amount of dollars. It's not that. It has nothing to do with that. There's never been anyone that's made a point about this person is getting this amount of money when it comes to their happiness with that amount of money. I don't make a lot of money doing this. Okay, I wish I made more. Everybody wishes they made more. So, yeah, it's just with anything in sports, there really is only a finite amount of money that's out there. So if some money goes here, it could be going there. That's why this Kawhi Leonard story is a big deal. Everything you do in life has cost attached to it. And what we tend to not think about is when it comes to evaluating something, you need to factor in the cost, whether it's the time or whether it's the actual raw number the thing actually costs. So if we constantly have issues with wide receiver rotations where we're having to burn timeouts, if that's Hankton's fault or if that's Sloan's fault, or with the offensive line development, you're paying Brad Davis a lot of money. So let's use a hypothetical here. Our offensive line's not good. We don't have Will Campbell anymore. Will Campbell was great. So let's say the difference was we could get an O-line coach that you pay $300,000 compared to the $800K you pay Brad Davis now. That extra $500,000 will for certain get you a good left tackle. On the low end, it will get you a good left tackle. The elite left tackles are making $1 million minimum. But that's why you got to factor in cost. Theoretical cost. All those different things. Okay. Now, I wanted to save this because I didn't want to get too much into, because I wanted most of the debate tonight to be Brian Kelly. It was a thumbnail image. We now have 4 years of sample, so it's not just a 1 year thing. We saw what happened last year and so on. Okay. And it's funny that Blake went on a rant defending Matt House. But I wanted to save this for now. And I referenced this briefly during Blake's rant about Matt House involving Harold Perkins. And right now, the Harold Perkins situation is the perfect example of when things go bad, it's not the worst thing if you recognize something is indeed bad. What gets people in trouble is when something is going poorly, but you think that that thing is good or can be good. And Harold Perkins can be good. He can be good. We've seen it. It may have been since 2022 and one random game versus Missouri in 2023 and a few other plays like we had versus Clemson this season. But the problem is when you say anything about Harold Perkins, people bring up the usage. It's always the thing. It's the usage. We don't know how to use them right. Y'all, it's been 3 full seasons since 2022 happened. And the thing that people get wrong about the Harold Perkins debate, where at his peak, he was every bit as good as quite a few legendary LSU defensive players. The Arkansas game, nobody will ever forget it. You can make a very strong case that is the best individual defensive performance in LSU history. You can make a case. It's definitely in the top 5. That's how big of a game that was, knowing the situation and so on. But what people leave out of the 2022 debate is that teams figured it out. They figured it out. The PFF grades show it. The actual games themselves show it. The film showed it. A&M and Georgia figured it out. And they ran roughshod all over us. So what happened in 2023? Well, we moved him to a new position. Florida State, in that first game, gave him the lowest graded game of his career. So bad that we scrapped the whole operation and we tried to figure out different things. And then trying to figure it out was something that really started to hurt Matt House. I will tell you that. It showed up in film, and it was a frustrating thing. So Matt House was tasked with actually calling plays. And then number 2, trying to figure out where the best spot was for Harold Perkins. And it was a tough year for all parties involved. Then last season, was it mostly good or bad with Harold Perkins? It was not great. The UCLA game before he got hurt was really bad. It was really, really, really bad. Where they were literally just throwing in that direction. And it's the same thing you've seen this season, where he has the benefit of the green dot. He has the benefit of us molding pretty much the entire defense around him. Where the actual defensive coordinator, who's making a lot of money, who I think is still really good. I do think Blake Baker is really good. I do. Where Blake actually went to him and said, hey, what position do you think you would be best at? And he says star. So you build everything around that. And he has been the worst part about it. It's just what has shown up. Now, has it sucked that we've not gotten more consistent pass rush from our front 4? Yeah, that's part of it. And our defensive line has had a lot of injuries. And Witt hasn't been as sharp as he was last year. That's part of it. Nobody is fully absolved, and mostly the defense has been good. Some of that, though, is because we've been playing bad offenses, and you guys know the whole spiel. But versus the by far two best offenses we have played this year, we decided to not only play Harold Perkins, but play him every snap of the game per PFF. Every single snap. Not trying anything new. And that's the problem. I think the problem isn't that Harold Perkins is struggling. We're all Harold Perkins fans. We all wanted to succeed. It's that we, I think, are struggling to see that it's a problem because we think it's actually something that's good. Based on what? Him as a situational pass rusher in 2022. That's where this all bases from. Something that happened many moons ago. Harold Perkins has had 2 different jersey numbers since then. All right. So, and it kind of goes with Garrett. We all thought Garrett was going to be really good. Our number 7 and our number 18. Both have been way under expectations. Now, the Clemson game for both were good. I will say, though, there were quite a few misses from Cade in that game that would have looked similar to that in the Vanderbilt game that we gave up yesterday. It's a problem, and I don't mind being the one that says it because it's an uncomfortable truth. That's the hardest thing. That's the hardest thing, and I hate saying it. But I'm to the point now where we have had 2 different defensive coordinators give up wide open, gaping plays, and a lot of them happen in the direction of one player. And it looks, you could just tell you don't need to know ball. It looks strange. And then what was the big, and I think also we forget this as well. Has anyone seen Jackson Dart play? Has anyone seen him play? He's good. He's good. Like Jackson Dart, he's not Jaden as a rookie good, but he might be the second best rookie quarterback of the past 5 years. Jackson Dart's been that good for the Giants. Okay. Harold Perkins goes out, and what was the big conversation? Well, Perk was the guy that really destroyed Jackson Dart in 2022, and we all thought we were not in a good spot to stop him. Well, what happened? Our defense stopped Jackson Dart. Dart did not play well. So I wanted to share that because the morning rant was very critical of Harold Perkins. It was. And I do think the goal line play where you can get into, hey, when did the whistle stop? Also, Harold Perkins, was he contained defender on number 2, Diego Pavia, on that goal line play on 4th down where it looked like he gave up? But that wasn't the only instance where it looked like he was going at half speed, which lends itself to 2 different questions. Is he going at half speed because he doesn't believe or he doesn't feel comfortable in the role that he's currently in? Or is he going half speed because we're playing him on every snap? It's tough. It's really tough to parse, if you will. I'm also on very little sleep, so there's a few other prep things I'll say for the Tuesday night live stream. I also ate way too much food before this because I was starving. I didn't eat all day. So I stayed up till 6 in the morning to cut that defensive film study. Then I got up at 10 to do Ty Simpson and then a few others and NFL ones. And I was like, dude, I got to eat something. And how'd you just get the quickest thing I ate? A Subway footlong. Do y'all remember the days of the $5 footlong at Subway? I love Subway. $5 footlong at Subway was $12.50. $12.50. Now it's a 200% increase. Or it had to be like a 150% increase. Tough, dude. That's tough. That's tough. And I don't think there's more meat on that sandwich. Oh, God. Kincaid. Big Joe says, Carter just don't want to talk bad about Nuss. And that's the hard thing about this, Kincaid, Big Joe. As I understand, these live streams could go for forever. I could go for forever. Longer than a Chris Brown song. Get it? Because he has a song named Forever. Anyway. I guess you just missed my rant about Garrett a little bit earlier. That's okay. That's okay. It's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's okay. I still love you, though, Kincaid, Big Joe. It is amazing, though. It is amazing that of all things said during this, that was said. Why is Aaron talking bad about El Dorado? Don't talk bad about the pound. Come on now. Don't talk bad about the pound. Oh, don't. What's up, James? James rocking the PHL shirt. Let's change this up. Look at James in the PHL shirt. Getting a pump. That's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I got to work off the Subway sandwich. I should not have ate that full thing and then sat down. I feel the chicken, bacon, and ranch and that orange chipotle sauce just forming a concoction in my belly. Pow, pow, pow. Big shout out to all the super chats. Lawson, Andrew, the one that got away, Adam, L in the chat. Yeah, I've seen, actually, L, I don't know if you're still in here or not. You were in, I met you from the Jaden Daniels chat. You were from a Commanders live stream that I did. Good to see you. Real Cass. Benny. I will also say this. There are instances where Brian Kelly has been better than Lane Kiffin. Andrew, thank you. Josh. Actually, I owe an apology to Josh. I did not answer your super chat. That is my apology. I think this was during our earlier segment. So, Josh, I will send you something. Just shoot me an email, powerhourlsu@gmail.com. I don't know if you're in there. And you're a first-timer. You're also super chatting. So my apologies. And you got your beautiful family here. Christmas is around the corner, so I like the profile photo. Results will determine future decisions. But this week, do you think we'll get – actually, no, we did answer this one. I'll still send you something, though. Jamie, Alexander, J. Smacks, good stuff. Okay? That's not what I wanted to do. Great. I made this a lot smaller. All right, here we go. One more. Perfect. Yeah, no, Kincaid, that's the funny thing, okay, that you're calling me out for not putting any blame on Nuss, is that I actually pushed back on this very thing a little bit earlier in the stream. That's the irony of it. I was like you. Compared to the other games, it was tough. It was good that it was better than the other games, and it was not his fault. And I will say, it's so hard to succeed at the quarterback position, even if you're mobile. and your offensive tackle play is what it is. But it's I thought I was going to love it. I'm serious. I thought I was going to love this performance. I couldn't get there though. Like, I could not get there. I was like, yeah, this throw was really good under heavy duress. Really, really, really good. But why are the protections being set the way that they are? And I will always say this about every single film study. I'm very happy that people watch them. I would never say to not watch them. But there are going to be some things I get wrong because it's impossible to know everything that's being taught and instructed. So if you're watching a little bit earlier, I might not even do this play on the film study for tomorrow because it takes, I've spent hours today trying to figure out this play to where, to the regular person, which is me, that has very good football knowledge, but on a scale of 1 to Belichick, I'm a 7 probably. You're thinking in that spot that it's either Tyree Adams or Caden Durham. But the more you look at it, it's like, or was it Garrett on the protection mistake there? There are others where they were bringing all-out pressures, and we couldn't do it. And that goes back to the main issue with this offense and why, if you're thinking you wanted to defend Brian Kelly tonight or push back on some of the criticism that BK has taken tonight, you have got to ask yourself this question. What is it that we do well offensively? It's maybe 2 or 3 things. We're good at finally figuring out how to use Trey'Dez Green. I myself was critical of Trey'Dez Green at times earlier this year, while at the same time acknowledging that it's crazy that we were trying to use him as a regular tight end. On the play that he got hurt, he was blocking like a regular tight end. Don't use him like that. The equity and the value you get out of him blocking is immense. Ask the Rams with Puka Nacua or the Steelers with Hines Ward. If you have an elite weapon that can also block, it could really help out numbers in the run game and in the perimeter passing game. But the problem is Trey'Dez cannot block. It's just something he cannot do yet. So play him like he's a wide receiver. That's always been my stance. If you don't want to do that, you can't play him. So LSU elected to use him like a wide receiver, and it worked. It worked to varying degrees versus Clemson. It worked really well versus South Carolina, minus a few mistakes, and then you saw what happened this past game. Okay. That is one of the few things we do well offensively. But if you want to go even further into the offensive ineptitude, you can also do this following thing. What about the different types of defenses we've played? Okay, so let's take the Vanderbilt game, for instance. What did Vanderbilt do defensively that we could not do? Well, they crowded the line of scrimmage and brought everybody. Okay, they did it 4 or 5 times yesterday. They crowded the line of scrimmage and brought everyone. We couldn't deal with it. All right? No big deal. Guess what? Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Guess what, people listening around the world? Whether you're in Ukraine or you're in Alaska, if you're watching this from Mars, guess what? A lot of people don't know how to deal with all-out pressure with everybody crowding the line of scrimmage. It's hard. It used to be how you stopped, arguably, statistically, the best quarterback in the NFL over the past 3 seasons, which is Lamar Jackson. It's what teams did versus him. They would crowd the line of scrimmage, and they just didn't have an answer for it. The Ravens didn't. So a lot of people have issues with it. So us struggling with that yesterday isn't out of the ordinary. But that's not the problem. That is not the problem, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the problem. It's that Vanderbilt can do that, crowd the line of scrimmage, and bring everyone. But what did Ole Miss do? What did Ole Miss do defensively? They did the exact opposite, and you still couldn't work with it. They rushed 3 and dropped 8. So if you can't stop it on one extreme, and you can't have success versus one extreme, and then when another team does it to another extreme, that means pretty much any defensive alignment on the spectrum that the other team can do, you can't do shit versus it. When teams play basic too high static structures, we can't run on it. When they blitz everyone, we can't protect it. When they rush 3 and drop 8, we can't protect it. When we do, we throw it into double coverage and get it picked in the extended red zone. And that's on the defensive side. What about the offensive side? Well, we struggled to break tackles. We struggled to throw it deep. Can't block twist. Can't block traditional rush. Can't zone block. Can't counter block. Can't down block. Can't communicate. Running back struggle in pass protection. Okay, what about actually catching the football? Can't do that. Bottom 10 in the country catching the football. Okay, what? At least everyone could stay healthy. To hell with that. And that's injuries. It's random. Sometimes you have bad luck. We've had a lot of bad luck with injuries. There's nothing, not a single thing, whether you look at it from a defensive or an offensive prism, that works. That works. Now, if you want to say it's a lack of talent, sure. You want to say it's a bad play caller, sure. But guess what? Even bad offenses have multiple things that they do well. The Browns won a game today with a rookie quarterback who threw for less than 100 yards, and they blew out the opposing team. They ran the football with Quinshon Judkins, who's just now learning the playbook. 25 times, 84 yards. They could not stop the Wildcat. It wasn't even wildly successful, but the Browns had an identity. Yeah, my prediction was 9-3. This will probably be closer to an 8-4. Okay, so you're currently at what, 5-2? You'll probably beat Arkansas. I don't know. You'll beat Western Kentucky, so we're going to a bowl. And then you probably beat one of either A&M or Alabama. You find a way to get it done. There is enough talent to pull off one of these upsets, and both of those teams are on a sun run right now. You'll find a way to win one of those, and then you have the Oklahoma game at the end of the season, where it's going to be cold. That's going to be a tough one. So you're probably at 8-4. TJ thinks we're not winning a game the rest of the season versus a P4 team. So TJ thinks we lose to Arkansas. Crazy. But I could see it. Arkansas's coming off a bye. We're coming off of playing Alabama. If we get beat by Alabama badly for an 11 a.m. game at Tiger Stadium where no one's going to show up, I'll tell you this, a lot of Arkansas fans are going to make the trip, especially if Bobby gets hot and wins a couple of these games. I mean, Arkansas could beat Auburn. Arkansas could beat Mississippi State. If Arkansas's hot coming off a bye week at LSU, that's tough. Now, here's the thing. That would be the battle of the worst defense in the SEC and probably the worst offense in the SEC right now. I'm never eating a foot-long sandwich again before doing a 5-hour live stream. We'll go all night, though. That's fine. What's my opinion on the punt with 3 minutes left? That was a bad punt. And I will say one thing about Brian Kelly that I do like is that if you listen to a lot of his press conferences closely before this year, he was always pretty upfront with things. He talked a big game, which I like. Look, I know this has been very critical of Brian Kelly. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, though, that I've not been positive of him and that I did not get things wrong about it. I disagreed with the punt, but I'll tell you this, Kincaid. There are a lot of aggressive play callers that are also making that punt on 4th and 8 there. Because if you don't get the 4th and 8, you're in field goal range and then you're down by 2 possessions. The problem is what those fourth down models don't account for is if you punt the football, you don't need, from Vanderbilt's standpoint, to drive the length of the field. You only have to get in field goal range and the game's over. So if it's 4th and 8 and you punt the football, you need the defense to make another stop, which they really hadn't been doing all game. So when we punted the football away, be honest, did you have more faith in us getting another stop, or did you have more faith in Vanderbilt getting a first down? Yeah, more faith in Vanderbilt getting a first down. One other thing about why that 4th and 8 decision is bad is, as critical as I've been of Garrett in this, there were still quite a few ridiculous playground 3rd and longs he converted. And by the way, on the play before, you converted the 3rd and 8. Barryon dropped it. He dropped it. So that should be even more reason to go for it on 4th. More reason. And there was another ridiculous conversion of Barryon that was completed, but it was called back for a hold. So, Brian Kelly says when it comes to his 4th down model, he said earlier this year, he's going to play more by how the game is going. Well, in that case, to me, even though the math there overwhelmingly probably says to punt, and the gut instinct is to punt and play defense, I think if you really paid attention to how that game was actually going, you would go for it. But either way, you're in a lot of trouble. Damon. Damon says Taylon Green is a long strider. And then you called him a tall glass of water. Damon, I might have to pause you on that, bro. Tall glass of water? Isn't that normally a phrase where you say, you know what? She's a tall drink of water. Oh, man. No, I'm just kidding, Damon. He's tall. I think he's taken some critiques. I wouldn't say critiques. I think he's taken a few lessons from Jaden Daniels. Taylon Green, wink, wink, nod, nod. Taylon Green did the VR stuff. And, Taylon Green is the best statistical quarterback in the SEC right now. He's not the best. I would say Ty Simpson's the best. But, Taylon Green is so damn good. Wow. The difference between him and Jaden is a lot. But the biggest is the disaster plays from Taylon Green are so disastrous. Or Jaden, you really didn't get those disaster plays. By the way, Jaden, I'll give you my hamstring. And Colton says, would I take Alex Golsh from USF? He's a good coach. I think he could do better, though. Oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about A&M. We didn't really even talk about A&M. They're good, though. That's a really good football team. That is a really, really, really good football team. Oh, Michael Penix got his brains destroyed tonight by that 49ers defense? Benny, new to the memberships. And look, he's got a BMW there. Look at you, man. Yeah, the 3 and back-to-back 3 and out. A lot of that was off at the tackle play. It's hard to blame Garrett in the fourth quarter. I think Garrett mostly was good in the fourth quarter. A&M hasn't played much of anyone either. What are you talking about? Seriously? They went to Notre Dame and beat them. Have you seen Notre Dame? Do you know how tough of a trip that is in week 2? So A&M beats Notre Dame. And you're right. You know, the SEC, they've played a lot of the lower tier SEC teams. So outside of Notre Dame, yeah, I can hear that out. It's not been the prettiest. But they took care of business versus Auburn. They dominated Mississippi State. They dominated Florida after a slow start. The Arkansas game, the scoreline is a little misleading. And now they have us. Notre Dame, LOL. You know, Notre Dame would be favored on a neutral field versus every team in the SEC not named Bama, A&M, or Georgia. Hell, they might still be favored over A&M. Dude, they're good. They're good. Don't just, don't just look at the brand name or anything like that. I mean, Notre Dame's good, dude. Although they'll falter in the playoffs. S. Young says Ole Miss would beat Notre Dame. I don't know. Missouri would beat Notre Dame, says S. Young. Okay. Plastic Jesus. Welcome. No, Dean Lanning, I don't think is ever leaving Oregon unless it's Alabama. Or Georgia, excuse me. I meant to say Georgia. I think he takes Georgia. Okay. A few other things here. What if I told you that the Brian Kelly situation is not the worst situation to be in? I understand. Let's just say you're like, Brian Kelly cannot coach at all. It's been really, really, really bad, but you get a better OC, you could turn this thing around. How Florida handled all of this is one of the most negligent situations I think I could remember. Everybody and their mama that has any different type of source knew that Billy Napier was being fired. It wasn't Pete Thamel breaking this. And that's no disrespect to the many people, some of which I know, who had sources. Even they would tell you, hey, this is kind of sloppy. It's kind of messy how they did Billy Napier and how they fired him. So be it. He gets $20 million to walk away, whatever it is. I think Florida is a more toxic situation than where we are right now. I'm serious. I'm not just saying that just to say it. And then, of course, oh boy, you want to talk toxic. This is more toxic than a Britney Spears song in the pre-2000s era. This is how toxic this is at Auburn. Oh, my goodness. They get an offensive genius in Hugh Freeze, and they can't get quarterback right. A genius in Hugh Freeze, who, I don't know if you guys knew this. He beat Alabama a few times at Ole Miss. Whoop, D-Daisy. God, Hugh Freeze sucks. Dude, he sucks. He sucks. I can't believe I defended him. He didn't even send me anything to defend him. And the funny thing is, I actually do have two phones now. I use a second phone to do some filming for some other projects I'm working on. That sounds very suspicious, but I'll leave it there. But my extra phone doesn't have data. Hugh Freeze, he's got two phones. I'm not talking about Kevin Gates. I'm talking about Hugh Freeze. He sucks. Oh, my God, he sucks. He's 0-4 with an absolute freak show at wide receiver. And Cam Coleman. Then they got the number one wide receiver in the portal. Then they've actually done a good job recruiting defense. They took one of our backup linebackers, and he leads the team in snaps, and he's had a mostly good season. Xavier Debo Atkins, who's been on the channel before. Auburn's got a great home field advantage, great fan base. They've got money. 0-4 in the SEC. Can't score 20 points in an SEC game at home. At home. Oh, God. Pegasus says, what kind of projects? I actually use the second phone. So when I do play-by-play for a football game, I use the second phone as a phone to film me so I can go back and critique myself. Not only in how I talk, but how I look when I talk. And to shoot some content while I'm in the booth. So that's basically it. That's what I use the second phone for. But I don't use it for OnlyFans. I would never do on OnlyFans. Me? You will never see me on an OnlyFans. I'm kidding. Never say never. Things could get a little testy, if you will. Tell him Plastic Jesus. That yellow wood money. All right, y'all. That's going to do it for me. Big thanks to all our supers tonight. Big thanks to our guest, Blake Ruffino. Tell him, Pierce, a vintage 3-hour stream. 3 hours. I said I would do 5. I'm going to have to blow off so much steam, dude. I know now. Hey, don't do a live stream where it's going to be some high leverage conversations with a Subway foot long buried deep into your belly. Pause. I'm struggling right now. I didn't know Subway did this to you anymore. And I love Subway. It was good. I'm not even sick. I'm just overly full. Dang, Damon. Slapping the gardening tools? All right, leave it to Theo. I do want to do this. Let me know where you're watching from. Yeah, I meant to do that. I meant to do that in more live streams. I love seeing Tiger Nation bold. I also don't think you guys like being critical of Brian Kelly. Now, some of you might get a rise in being a hater. Seriously, you might get off on that. I'm not trying to be grotesque. Some people just like hating. You might like LSU, but you might just like hating other individuals because they make more money and then they're famous and all that stuff. Some people hate me. Some people do. I don't think there's a lot of people that do. Francisco in the Windy City, where Giordano's is better than Lou Malnati's. Did not like Lou Malnati's. Giordano's clears. Where's D-Pain at? D-Pain in the chat. We got another Chicagoan. Leave it to Theo. By way of Opelousas, 22-year Army guy. Okay, so tell me this, leave it to Theo. Are you taking Mama's Fried Chicken over Giordano's? You gotta pick one. Are you taking Mama's Fried Chicken with that lemonade that is thicker than cold peanut butter? There is Louisiana oil that is not thicker than that lemonade and Mama's Fried Chicken. Are you taking that delicious fried chicken goodness, or are you taking it over the deep dish goddess of Giordano's? Giordano's. I would get banned off YouTube, what it reminds me of. Oh, I would get banned. It is like that for me in Giordano's. You don't want a Plastic Jesus. I'm not famous. I will say, It was really cool this weekend, though, that my wife was in Nashville to go see Keith Urban. Her mother was with her. And I shared the story on Saturday. And so the Keith Urban show was Friday night. And I tweeted out, hey, my wife's at the Keith Urban show. If you stop her, tell her hi. I knew she was having a good time. She gets a kick when she sees PHL shirts and stuff like that. And what happens? She FaceTimes me at 1 a.m. She was, had a few high noons. And she was like, hey, we're getting back at the hotel. And there was a guy right there. It was Adam from Georgia. I tweeted out a few photos of him. Adam, I appreciate you. And he was like, wait, is that Carter on your FaceTime? I was groggy. So it was either that or my wife was like, hey, my husband's on Power Hour LSU, because she saw a bunch of LSU fans. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I talked to this guy. She was just walking around, and my mother-in-law was like freaking out. My son-in-law. And that was cool. It was cool for my mother-in-law to appreciate that or show love for that. And I'll tell you this. I wish I made famous person money. I wish I did. The original Mama's Fried Chicken. See, I'm basic. I go to the Mama's Fried Chicken by the Lowe's off the interstate. I don't go to the original. At least I don't think that's the original. I'm either doing that, or right down the street from that Mama's Fried Chicken, they have a new Billy's Boudin, and it's fire. So it's tougher for me to justify Mama's Fried Chicken over Billy's Boudin. It's close. It's very close. I'll be honest. I've been doing more Billy's Boudin when I pass through. I really have. It's not that I'm cheating on Mama's Fried Chicken. I wouldn't never do that. It's just, Billy's a little bit easier to eat in the car. I had Billy's Boudin at my wedding. I went through a lot of hoops to get it there. And I get the Billy's Boudin delivered to my wedding. We didn't do a first look, so we had to go take a gazillion photos. And I'm walking back in. There's a lot of people at my wedding, not from Opelousas or South Louisiana, so they've never tasted what that does to your body. And I'm hungry. I hadn't eaten all day. And I'm just like, I just got to eat something. And then everyone's like, Carter, the Billy's Boudin is buzzing, bro. And what happens? When it's time for me to eat, it's gone. It's gone. There's thousands of dollars worth of Boudin there. Okay, it wasn't like $1,000. It was like $500 worth. Still, I was like, hey, if there's one thing I want at this very special day, it's Billy's Boudin. And of course, these Yankees who've never tasted this concoction of rice and meat, they were throwing the balls in their face like prime Kim Kardashian, and they didn't leave any for me. What is that? It was a travesty. My biggest day of my life. Couldn't even eat the greatest thing to ever walk the face of the earth. And that's hyperbole. I don't know if it's the greatest thing. It's good, though. It's a problem. It's a problem. Lemony Twang. Oh, that's a deep cut. Honestly, I'll say this. The lady who made the Lemony Twang smoothie, that's a deep cut. Deep cut. It wasn't even on the show that I said that. Or that she said that. She's actually the best chef I've ever had, my Tia Paula. Love her dearly. And she's pissed about the LSU football situation. She loves Alvin Kamara more than the Saints, more than LSU. So as long as he's healthy and playing for the Saints, she's happy. But she's pissed off right now. She's pissed off. Oh, God. It sucks, dude. TPV, and good to have you back. I don't have that Walton money. I have a lot of friends, though, one makes good money as a lawyer there. But I don't have the Walton money. I know. I don't really know a lot of people that do work at Walmart, though. And where I went to high school in Arkansas is not really close. Where I went to high school in Arkansas is actually slightly closer to Baton Rouge than it is the University of Arkansas. Slightly. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Film study at 6 p.m. Central. The offensive film study. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom. Don't forget, go to the Patreon. You can get my full game grades. Check it out. Tonight, we are doing... I'm not eating anything now. Let's go.